The gentle reduction of noise. Noise obscures signal. This philosophy teaches reducing unnecessary input. Silence reveals structure. Clarity through letting experience digest. Experience needs time to digest. This philosophy teaches pausing after action. Digestion turns experience into understanding. The soft continuation of intention. Intention need not be restated. This philosophy teaches letting intention guide quietly. Quiet intention steadies movement. Awareness of subtle completion. Again, completion arrives quietly. This philosophy teaches stopping when relief appears. Stopping there preserves quality. The gentle balance of engagement. Engagement works best when selective. This philosophy teaches engaging where alignment is clear. Selective engagement conserves energy. Awareness remains. Nothing finishes. Attention stays present. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself, moment by moment. The gentle awareness of opening. Openings appear briefly. This philosophy teaches noticing the moment when resistance softens and movement becomes possible. When openings are noticed early, action is minimal. When missed, effort multiplies. Those who recognize openings act with precision. Clarity through quiet observation. Observation clarifies when it is unhurried. This philosophy teaches watching without trying to influence. Quiet observation reveals structure. The soft continuity of direction. Once again, direction does not need reinforcement. This philosophy teaches allowing accumulated alignment to carry action. Trust in continuity reduces strain. Awareness of subtle imbalance. Imbalance appears first as slight discomfort. This philosophy teaches noticing discomfort before it sharpens. Early attention restores balance. The gentle release of excess effort. Effort accumulates unnoticed. This philosophy teaches releasing effort whenever strain appears. Released effort restores ease. Clarity through letting attention drift back. When attention tightens, allow it to drift back to center. This philosophy teaches gentle return rather than forced focus. Return stabilizes perception. The soft holding of readiness. Readiness held lightly remains flexible. This philosophy teaches staying ready without anticipation. Light readiness preserves calm. Awareness of quiet agreement. Agreement does not require discussion. This philosophy teaches sensing shared understanding through ease. Ease confirms alignment. The gentle confirmation of timing. Again, timing announces itself as absence of resistance. This philosophy teaches trusting the moment when effort decreases. That moment is enough. Awareness continues forward. Nothing ends. Attention remains alive. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself without conclusion. The gentle awareness of readiness to release. Sometimes readiness means letting go rather than moving forward. This philosophy teaches sensing when release serves alignment better than action. Release often feels like relief. Action often feels like effort. Listening to this difference preserves balance. Those who release at the right moment prevent unnecessary struggle. Clarity through non-interference. Interference often arises from good intention. This philosophy teaches stepping back when systems begin to self-correct. Non-interference allows natural order to complete its work. The soft return of perspective. Perspective narrows under pressure. This philosophy teaches restoring perspective by widening awareness. Wider perspective reduces urgency and error. Awareness of subtle completion signals. Again, completion does not repeat itself loudly. This philosophy teaches recognizing the second, quieter signal of enough. Ignoring it leads to overextension. The gentle allowing of outcome. Outcome does not need to be shaped continuously. This philosophy teaches allowing results to settle. Settled outcomes reveal their true form. Clarity through staying with simplicity. Simplicity is not reduction alone. It is clarity maintained. This philosophy teaches remaining with what is simple even as complexity invites attention. Simplicity anchors response. The soft continuation of calm readiness. Readiness that is calm does not fade. This philosophy teaches maintaining readiness as background presence. Background readiness reduces reaction. Awareness of quiet momentum. Momentum sometimes flows beneath stillness. This philosophy teaches sensing movement even when nothing appears to move. Subtle momentum guides timing. The gentle trust in alignment. Alignment does not require reassurance. This philosophy teaches trusting alignment once it is felt. Doubt introduces friction. Awareness remains open. Nothing concludes. Attention remains open. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself again and again. The gentle awareness of inner consent. Consent appears internally before it is expressed outwardly. This philosophy teaches noticing the quiet inner yes or no that arises beneath thought. When inner consent is clear, action feels clean. When it is ignored, friction follows. Those who listen to inner consent move with integrity. Clarity through allowing space between thoughts. Thoughts need space to organize themselves. This philosophy teaches allowing gaps between thoughts rather than filling them. In the gaps, understanding forms. The soft stability of direction. Direction stabilizes when it is not questioned constantly. This philosophy teaches trusting direction once clarity has settled. Excess questioning reintroduces doubt. Awareness of subtle disengagement. Disengagement often signals completion. This philosophy teaches recognizing when attention naturally withdraws. Following disengagement prevents overextension. The gentle letting of control once more. Control returns quietly. This philosophy teaches releasing it again and again. Each release restores flexibility. Clarity through staying with what works. Novelty attracts attention, but reliability sustains. This philosophy teaches valuing what works consistently. Consistency reduces error. The soft continuation of observation. Observation does not require conclusion. This philosophy teaches continuing to observe without seeking closure. Ongoing observation refines perception. Awareness of quiet resolution. Resolution often arrives without ceremony. This philosophy teaches noticing when tension dissolves naturally. Recognizing resolution prevents unnecessary action. The gentle confirmation of ease. Ease returns when alignment is present. This philosophy teaches trusting ease as sufficient confirmation. No further proof is needed. Awareness continues without end. Nothing finishes here. Attention remains alive. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself endlessly. The gentle awareness of inner readiness. Inner readiness does not announce itself loudly. It appears as quiet steadiness, a sense that nothing more is required before moving. This philosophy teaches sensing readiness without rushing toward it. When readiness is genuine, action unfolds smoothly. Clarity through non-resistance. Resistance clouds perception. This philosophy teaches allowing experience without opposing it. When resistance drops, clarity rises naturally. The soft continuation of direction yet again. Direction remains effective when it rests lightly in awareness. This philosophy teaches letting direction guide without pressing. Light guidance preserves adaptability. Awareness of subtle completion. Once more, completion repeats as a quiet signal. This philosophy teaches respecting the moment when effort naturally subsides. Stopping there maintains integrity. The gentle release of mental weight. Thought accumulates weight. This philosophy teaches releasing unnecessary thinking. A lighter mind responds faster and cleaner. Clarity through gentle curiosity. Curiosity opens without pressure. This philosophy teaches approaching uncertainty with interest rather than fear. Curiosity expands understanding. The soft continuation of presence. Presence does not need intensity. This philosophy teaches remaining present without effort. Effortless presence stabilizes perception. Awareness of quiet confidence again. Confidence matures into silence. This philosophy teaches trusting quiet confidence. Silence carries certainty. The gentle balance of letting be. Letting be does not mean neglect. This philosophy teaches allowing without abandoning awareness. Balanced allowing preserves harmony. Awareness remains, nothing concludes. Attention stays alive. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself, moment by moment. The gentle awareness of readiness to stop stopping is also an action. This philosophy teaches sensing when stopping serves alignment better than continuing. Stopping at the right moment preserves energy and meaning. Continuing past that moment introduces distortion. Those who stop cleanly can begin again without residue. Clarity through letting silence lead. Silence can lead without instruction. This philosophy teaches allowing silence to shape the next movement. When silence leads, action emerges with precision, the soft continuity of understanding. Understanding does not arrive once. This philosophy teaches allowing understanding to deepen through repeated contact. Each return refines perception. Awareness of subtle misalignment. Misalignment appears first as mild discomfort. This philosophy teaches noticing the earliest signs and adjusting gently. Early correction preserves stability. The Book of Conflict and Silence, long before recorded history, learned to glorify battles. There was an understanding that true mastery does not lie in destruction, but in prevention. This ancient work was not written to celebrate war, but to reveal how it can be avoided. It speaks quietly, almost reluctantly, about conflict, as if reminding the listener that every clash carries a cost far greater than it appears. At its core, this philosophy teaches that the highest form of victory is achieved without violence. To win without fighting is not weakness. It is the most refined form of strength. Those who rely on brute force exhaust themselves. Those who understand timing, balance, and human nature shape outcomes before conflict is even born. The work emerged during an age of constant unrest, when states rose and collapsed in endless cycles of ambition and fear. Yet its perspective was never emotional. It does not glorify anger, revenge, or pride. Instead, it approaches conflict as a problem to be solved with clarity and restraint. War, in this view, is not an act of heroism, but a failure of understanding. The wise leader does not rush toward confrontation. He observes, he listens, he studies the terrain not only of land, but of minds. Because the battlefield is not limited to physical space. It exists wherever intentions collide. In this philosophy, planning comes before action, and awareness comes before movement. Nothing is left to chance. Every decision is weighed not by desire, but by consequence. Victory is not measured by how much damage is inflicted, but by how little is required to achieve stability. A recurring idea throughout the text is harmony. When leadership and people move in the same direction, strength multiplies naturally. When they are divided, even the greatest armies crumble from within. Order is not imposed through fear, but earned through trust and coherence. Another essential theme is timing. Acting too early wastes energy. Acting too late invites collapse. Mastery lies in sensing the precise moment when action becomes inevitable, and ensuring that when it arrives, resistance has already weakened. The text also warns against emotional decision-making. Anger clouds judgment. Pride invites overreach. Revenge blinds perception. Those who act from emotion are easily manipulated because their reactions become predictable. Calmness, on the other hand, creates invisibility. When motives are unclear, opponents lose their footing. An important metaphor appears again and again: water. Water has no fixed shape, yet it overcomes stone. It yields, but it is unstoppable. It adapts to every surface, fills every gap, and wears down even the strongest barriers over time. This is not passivity. It is intelligent movement. True strength, according to this philosophy, is flexible. Rigid systems break under pressure. Adaptable systems endure. The most dangerous opponent is not the one who attacks aggressively, but the one who remains unreadable. Another lesson emphasizes economy. Long conflicts drain nations, exhaust people, and destroy the very foundations they claim to defend. Prolonged struggle benefits no one. The wise strategist seeks swift resolution, minimal loss, and sustainable outcomes. Victory that ruins the future is not victory at all. The work also explores the psychology of perception. Appear strong when you are weak. Appear distant when you are near. Appear disordered when you are prepared. These are not calls for deception as moral failure, but acknowledgments of human bias. People respond not to reality, but to what they believe they see. Information is treated as the most valuable resource. Knowing yourself is power. Knowing your opponent is security. Knowing both eliminates fear. Ignorance, on the other hand, multiplies risk. Acting without understanding is described as gambling with lives and futures. Leadership is described not as domination, but as responsibility. A true leader protects resources. values people, and understands limits. He does not seek glory, he seeks continuity. He does not chase conflict. He prepares so thoroughly that conflict becomes unnecessary. This philosophy also recognizes that not all conflicts are external. Internal disorder, lack of discipline, and moral decay are described as far more dangerous than any outside threat. Collapse often begins quietly, long before any visible enemy appears. Throughout the text, restraint is praised over excess, silence over noise, observation over reaction. The message is consistent. Those who rush to prove strength reveal weakness. Those who wait, watch, and adapt quietly shape outcomes that appear effortless from the outside. This is not a book of aggression. It's a book of awareness. It does not teach how to destroy enemies, but how to prevent the conditions that create them. It does not promise triumph through force, but stability through understanding. And perhaps the most subtle lesson is this: the greatest victories are invisible. They leave no scars, no ruins, no graves. They appear as peace, order, and continuity. And because they are quiet, history often fails to recognize them. Yet it is precisely in that silence that true mastery lives. The invisible architecture of power conflict does not begin with weapons. It begins with imbalance. Long before armies move, conditions form quietly beneath the surface. The wise understand this and intervene early, when correction requires little effort and no violence. Power, in this philosophy, is not loud. It does not announce itself. It operates through structure, preparation, and alignment. When systems are balanced, resistance dissolves naturally. When systems are neglected, even small pressures cause collapse. The text emphasizes 5 fundamental forces that shape every outcome. These forces exist in all forms of struggle, whether military, political, or personal. The first is unity. When people share a direction and trust their leadership, strength multiplies without force. When unity fractures, no amount of discipline can restore effectiveness. Order imposed without trust creates obedience, but not resilience. The second force is timing. Every action exists within a moment. Acting outside the correct moment weakens even the best strategy. The skilled observer senses cycles: when to advance, when to wait, and when to withdraw. Movement without timing is noise. The third force is environment. Terrain is not only land, but circumstance. Climate, resources, distance, and context shape outcomes more than raw strength. Ignoring conditions leads to exhaustion. Respecting them creates advantage without effort. The fourth force is leadership. Leadership is described not as authority, but as clarity. A leader who lacks calm spreads confusion. A leader who lacks fairness creates resentment. True leadership balances firmness with restraint, decisiveness with patience. The fifth force is discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is consistency. Clear expectations, fair consequences, and shared standards create reliability. When rules shift unpredictably, morale erodes. When discipline is balanced, cohesion strengthens. Together, these forces form the unseen framework of power. They determine outcomes before action ever begins. The text repeatedly warns against underestimating preparation. Many fail not because they lack strength, but because they act without understanding. Preparation transforms uncertainty into structure. It turns chaos into patterns. Another recurring lesson concerns perception. Reality matters less than interpretation. People respond to what they believe, not to what exists. Controlling perception does not require lies. It requires awareness of how appearances shape behavior. Those who reveal everything invite interference. Those who conceal intentions maintain freedom. This is not secrecy for deception's sake, but discretion for protection. Openness without boundaries becomes vulnerability. Direct confrontation is treated as a last resort. When two forces collide head-on, losses multiply. The preferred method is redirection. Shift pressure, create imbalance, allow the opponent to weaken themselves through overextension. Strength is conserved by avoiding unnecessary resistance. Just as water flows around obstacles rather than breaking against them, Effective strategy moves through openings rather than forcing entry. Emotions are treated as strategic liabilities. Fear causes hesitation. Anger causes recklessness. Pride causes blindness. The calm mind remains flexible. It adapts instantly because it is not attached to outcome, only to process. The text also explores exhaustion as a weapon. A prolonged struggle drains not only resources, but spirit. Those who wait patiently while others rush forward often inherit victory without effort. Time itself becomes an ally. There is also a strong warning against prolonged ambition. Expansion without consolidation leads to fragility. Growth without structure invites collapse. Sustainability is valued over conquest. Intelligence gathering receives special attention. Knowledge reduces risk. Acting without information is described as irresponsible. Awareness shortens conflict. Ignorance prolongs suffering. Yet information alone is not enough. It must be interpreted correctly. Data without insight creates false confidence. True understanding comes from seeing relationships, not isolated facts. Throughout this philosophy, restraint is framed as strength, silence as clarity, delay as precision. Those who can wait control the tempo. Those who rush surrender it. The ultimate goal is stability, not domination, order, not spectacle, continuity, not conquest. The greatest success leaves no trace because nothing needed to be repaired afterward. Conflict resolved early is invisible. Disaster avoided is forgotten. And yet these quiet outcomes are the highest achievements of mastery. This philosophy does not promise glory. It promises balance. It does not reward ego. It rewards awareness. And it reminds the listener of a final truth. The most powerful move is often the one never made. Movement without struggle. True mastery reveals itself in movement that feels effortless. When preparation is complete and awareness is sharp, action flows naturally. There is no strain, no hesitation, no wasted energy. Everything moves as it should, because it has already been decided long before the moment arrives. This philosophy teaches that motion must always serve purpose. Random action creates confusion. Purposeful stillness creates clarity. Knowing when not to act is just as important as knowing when to move. Conflict often escalates because people mistake motion for progress. They rush forward, believing activity itself creates advantage. In reality, unnecessary movement exposes weakness. Stillness preserves strength. One of the central ideas explored here is adaptability. Fixed plans collapse when conditions change. Flexible plans evolve. The most effective strategies are not rigid structures, but living systems that respond instantly to shifting realities. The skilled strategist does not impose form upon events. He shapes form according to events. Like water, he takes the shape of the environment, filling gaps, flowing through openings, retreating when pressure is too great, advancing when resistance dissolves. Force is never applied evenly. It is concentrated, focused, released at the precise moment when resistance is weakest. This precision transforms small effort into decisive impact. The text warns against chasing visible strength. Large formations, loud declarations, and overwhelming displays often conceal insecurity. Quiet preparation and invisible positioning create real advantage. Another lesson emphasizes misdirection. By drawing attention to one area, pressure is relieved elsewhere. By appearing unprepared, readiness is preserved. By appearing distant, closeness becomes invisible. These methods are not rooted in dishonesty, but in understanding attention. Attention is limited. Where it is directed, perception follows. Control attention, and behavior follows naturally. Momentum is described as a force greater than individual effort. When alignment exists within a group, movement becomes collective rather than individual. Energy multiplies, resistance fades, progress accelerates. This collective momentum cannot be forced. It emerges when trust, clarity, and discipline are aligned. Without these, even the strongest individuals pull in different directions, canceling each other out. The philosophy also addresses internal disorder. Confusion within creates vulnerability without. Miscommunication, unclear roles, and unresolved tension weaken any structure. Strength begins with internal coherence. Emotional regulation returns as a recurring theme. Calmness allows adaptation. Panic freezes response. Anger narrows vision. Those who master themselves remain unpredictable to others. There is a warning against prolonged engagement. The longer a struggle continues, the more unpredictable it becomes. Exhaustion erodes judgment. Resources dwindle. Morale weakens. Swift resolution preserves stability. Yet speed does not mean haste. Speed comes from readiness, not urgency. When preparation is complete, action appears instantaneous. The text also explores the idea of advantage through positioning. The best position often requires no defense. It is naturally protected by circumstance. Reaching such positions requires foresight, not force. Those who chase advantage openly invite opposition. Those who arrive quietly inherit opportunity without resistance. Information again emerges as central. Not all information is equal. Timely knowledge outweighs abundant data. A single, accurate insight can outweigh countless observations. But knowledge must be guarded. Information revealed prematurely loses power. Information concealed retains flexibility. Throughout this section, there is an emphasis on natural rhythm, action and rest, advance and withdrawal, sound and silence. Balance sustains effectiveness. When imbalance appears, correction should be subtle. Overcorrection creates new instability. Gentle adjustment restores harmony. This philosophy rejects excess effort, excess emotion, excess ambition. Each creates imbalance. Moderation preserves longevity. Victory, in this view, is not a moment. It is a condition, a state where opposition no longer finds reason to exist. And when that condition is achieved, there is no need for celebration. Silence confirms success more clearly than noise ever could. The shape of the unseen, what cannot be seen, often determines everything. The most decisive forces rarely appear on the surface. They move quietly, shaping outcomes long before results become visible. This philosophy places great importance on invisibility, not disappearance, but subtlety. To be unseen is not to be absent. It is to exist without drawing attention. Attention invites resistance. Subtlety dissolves it. Structures that last are rarely obvious. They function because they align with natural tendencies rather than oppose them. When pressure is applied in harmony with circumstance, effort decreases while effectiveness increases. The text repeatedly reminds the listener that certainty is dangerous. When someone believes they fully understand a situation, they stop observing. When observation stops, adaptation fails. Awareness must remain open and continuous. Predictability is treated as vulnerability. Patterns that are easily recognized become targets. Variation preserves safety. The ability to change rhythm without warning disrupts expectation and weakens opposition. There is a strong emphasis on positioning before engagement. The most secure position is one where confrontation becomes unnecessary. Reaching such a position requires foresight, patience, and restraint. The philosophy discourages obsession with control. Excessive control suffocates movement. Too little control creates chaos. Balance allows structure to breathe. Another recurring theme is conservation. Energy spent unnecessarily cannot be recovered. Emotional expenditure drains focus. Overextension invites collapse. Sustainable effort outlasts intense bursts. The text also explores how strength is often misunderstood. True strength does not seek proof. It does not demand recognition. It remains intact whether acknowledged or ignored. Noise is associated with insecurity. Loud actions compensate for weak foundations. Silence reflects confidence. When structure is sound, demonstration becomes unnecessary. Deception, when discussed, is framed as redirection rather than falsehood. The aim is not to deceive truth, but to manage perception. Perception governs reaction. Reaction governs outcome. The skilled practitioner allows others to misjudge voluntarily. Misjudgment weakens their decisions without any force being applied. There is also a deep respect for limits. Knowing when to stop preserves future capacity. Endless pursuit erodes clarity. Withdrawal at the correct moment prevents destruction. The philosophy does not condemn retreat. It redefines it. Retreat is not failure when it preserves strength and opens better paths forward. Stubborn persistence in the wrong direction is the true defeat. Internal alignment is again emphasized. When intention, action, and environment are synchronized, resistance fades naturally. When they conflict, even simple tasks become exhausting. The text warns against attachment to outcome. Fixation narrows awareness. Flexibility requires detachment. The mind that clings cannot adapt. Leadership is portrayed as influence through presence rather than command. The most effective leaders shape behavior without issuing constant orders. Their stability becomes contagious. There is an understanding that people follow coherence instinctively. Confusion repels trust. Clarity attracts alignment. Time is treated not as an enemy, but as a tool. Waiting is productive when it allows conditions to mature. Impatience forces premature action and multiplies risk. Again and again, the philosophy returns to simplicity. Complexity increases fragility. Simplicity strengthens resilience. The unseen structure beneath action determines whether effort flows or fractures. Those who understand this build outcomes that appear effortless from the outside. And when success arrives quietly, without resistance or destruction, it confirms the highest form of mastery. Energy, momentum, and the quiet force. Energy is not merely strength. It is direction, timing, and release. When energy is scattered, effort is wasted. When energy is gathered and focused, even small movements create large effects. This philosophy treats momentum as a living force. Momentum is born from alignment. When intention, structure, and timing converge, movement becomes inevitable. Resistance weakens not because it is crushed, but because it is outpaced. The text distinguishes between effort and effectiveness. Effort alone exhausts. Effectiveness conserves. The skilled practitioner seeks results, not exertion. He understands that strain signals imbalance. There is an emphasis on coordination. Individuals acting alone tire quickly. Coordinated movement multiplies impact. When many move as one, the whole becomes greater than the sum of its S. Momentum is fragile when forced. Pushed too aggressively, it collapses. Allowed to build naturally, it sustains itself. The role of leadership is not to push, but to align conditions so movement emerges on its own. The philosophy also speaks of rhythm. Every action has a cadence. Breaking rhythm disrupts flow. Maintaining rhythm sustains endurance. The wise listen for rhythm before they act. Energy must be released at the right moment. Released too early, it dissipates. Released too late, opportunity disappears. Precision transforms energy into outcome. There is a warning against visible buildup. When preparation becomes obvious, opposition prepares in response. Quiet readiness preserves surprise. Surprise shortens struggle. The text compares effective force to a drawn bow. When held patiently, tension stores power. When released correctly, impact is decisive. Releasing too soon wastes potential. Another recurring idea is transformation. Energy can shift form. Pressure becomes leverage. Weakness becomes invitation. Stillness becomes threat. The skilled recognize these shifts and respond instantly. The philosophy discourages reliance on fixed methods. Methods must change as conditions change. Holding on to past success creates future vulnerability. Collective morale is treated as energy. Morale rises when people feel protected, understood, and valued. Fear drains energy. Uncertainty fragments it. Leadership shapes morale through consistency. Sudden shifts create anxiety. Predictable fairness creates trust. Trust sustains momentum even under pressure. The text also addresses the danger of excess confidence. Momentum can intoxicate. When success leads to carelessness, collapse follows. Awareness must remain sharp even in advantage. Energy must be renewed. Rest is not weakness. Rest preserves clarity. Exhausted strength becomes fragile. The philosophy recognizes the value of restraint after success. Pursuing further gains without necessity risks destabilizing what has already been achieved. Momentum, once broken, is difficult to restore. Therefore, protection of internal harmony becomes a priority above expansion. Victory that preserves energy prepares the ground for continuity. Victory that consumes everything leaves emptiness behind. In this view, the highest success is achieved when movement feels natural, resistance fades quietly, and stability remains long after action ends. Emptiness and fullness. Every situation contains two forces that constantly shift: emptiness and fullness. Understanding the balance between them determines whether effort is wasted or multiplied. Emptiness does not mean weakness. Fullness does not always mean strength. What appears empty may be prepared. What appears full may already be exhausted. The surface often lies. The philosophy teaches that one should avoid striking where resistance is strong, and move instead toward places where resistance has not yet formed. Pressure applied to emptiness creates immediate effect. Pressure applied to fullness meets obstruction. The skilled observer learns to sense where energy accumulates and where it drains away. He advances into openings rather than obstacles. He allows opposition to harden where it is strongest. Knowing that rigidity leads to fatigue, there is an emphasis on letting others exhaust themselves. When an opponent rushes forward, energy spills outward. When they defend too tightly, movement freezes. In both cases, imbalance grows naturally. The text advises against meeting force with force. Instead, redirect, yield, allow momentum to pass through rather than collide. This does not reduce strength, it preserves it. One of the central lessons here is patience. Emptiness becomes fullness over time. Fullness becomes emptiness through overuse. Timing determines which state dominates. By remaining unpredictable, one prevents the opponent from stabilizing. Stability allows recovery. Instability drains attention and strength. The philosophy describes effective positioning as creating a situation where the opponent must respond, while you remain free. Reaction consumes energy. Initiative preserves it. The text also warns against revealing your own fullness. When strength is displayed openly, it invites challenge. When concealed, it discourages confrontation. There is a subtle discipline required to appear vulnerable without being so. This requires confidence, not fear. Fear exposes real weakness. Controlled openness creates uncertainty. Internal emptiness is also addressed. Mental clutter, emotional turbulence, and rigid beliefs fill the mind unnecessarily. Clearing these creates space for awareness. A clear mind adapts instantly. A crowded mind hesitates. Emptiness allows perception to move freely. The philosophy connects emptiness with silence. Silence absorbs information. Noise repels it. Those who speak less observe more. Fullness is associated with accumulation. Accumulation must be managed carefully. Excess creates fragility. Balance preserves resilience. The text repeatedly emphasizes flow. When energy flows, it remains alive. When trapped, it decays. Structures should guide movement, not block it. There is also a warning against attachment to advantage. Holding on to advantage rigidly transforms it into vulnerability. Release maintains flexibility. The wise allow space for change. They do not cling. They observe transitions and move accordingly. Victory emerges not from overpowering fullness, but from entering emptiness. It arrives quietly, without resistance. When the opponent realizes what has happened, the outcome is already settled. This is not manipulation. It is alignment with natural movement. And in that alignment, effort dissolves into inevitability. Movement, distance, and the cost of advance. Movement carries a cost. Every step forward consumes energy, attention, and time. Understanding this cost prevents waste and preserves strength. The philosophy treats distance not only as physical space, but as effort required to act. What is close may demand more energy than what is far. What appears distant may be easily reached if conditions are aligned. Advancing without preparation weakens position. Retreating with awareness preserves capacity. Neither movement nor stillness is superior on its own. Value lies in appropriateness. The text emphasizes the danger of extended engagement. The longer movement continues without resolution, the more fragile outcomes become. Fatigue dulls perception. Resources thin. Coordination weakens. A skilled practitioner shortens distance indirectly. Rather than moving forward aggressively, he reshapes conditions so that distance collapses on its own. The opponent moves first, carries the burden, and exposes imbalance. Supply and support receive careful attention. Action without support creates dependency on chance. Well-supported movement sustains endurance and confidence. The philosophy warns against separating advance from consolidation. Progress without stabilization invites reversal. Every gain must be secured before moving further. Another lesson concerns the danger of unfamiliar ground. Movement through unknown territory multiplies risk. Knowledge of environment reduces friction and prevents surprise. The text encourages awareness of signs. Small changes in behavior reveal larger shifts beneath the surface. Fatigue, hesitation, and disorder indicate approaching collapse. There is also emphasis on morale during movement. Confidence shortens distance. Fear lengthens it. When people trust direction, effort feels lighter. Leadership during movement must remain calm. Panic spreads faster than commands. Calmness stabilizes rhythm and preserves coordination. The philosophy discourages unnecessary pursuit. Chasing retreating resistance often leads into traps. Allowing withdrawal preserves safety and control. Movement must always serve outcome. Motion without purpose exhausts advantage. Purpose without motion remains incomplete. There is a warning against obsession with speed. Speed without structure creates fragmentation. Structure without speed creates stagnation. Balance preserves momentum. The text also addresses the cost of stopping. Halting too abruptly creates confusion. Gradual slowing preserves order. Transitions matter as much as action. Poor transitions erase gains. Smooth transitions maintain continuity. Distance closes naturally when resistance dissolves. Forcing closure multiplies loss. The most effective advance feels effortless because resistance has already been weakened, and when advance ends quietly, stability follows. Adaptation and the art of change. No condition remains fixed. What is stable today shifts tomorrow. Those who cling to certainty lose awareness. Those who expect change remain prepared. This philosophy treats adaptation as the highest skill. Strength without adaptability breaks. Intelligence without flexibility stagnates. Survival depends on the ability to respond without delay. Change does not announce itself loudly. It begins subtly, through small inconsistencies and quiet signals. The attentive notice early. The inattentive react late. The text emphasizes that rigid plans collapse when reality diverges. A plan must guide, not imprison. When conditions change, methods must change as well. Adaptation requires humility. Those who assume they already know stop learning. Pride delays correction. Awareness accelerates response. There is a distinction made between principles and tactics. Principles endure. Tactics evolve. Confusing the two leads to failure. Holding principles while changing tactics preserves direction. The philosophy discourages emotional attachment to past success. What worked once may fail next time. Memory is useful only when paired with observation. Change often creates discomfort. Resistance to discomfort delays adjustment. Those who move with change experience less strain than those who fight it. Timing again appears as critical. Adapt too early and energy is wasted. Adapt too late and opportunity is lost. Sensitivity to transition determines effectiveness. The text also explores adaptability within groups. Organizations that cannot adjust internally fracture under pressure. Open communication preserves flexibility. Leadership during change requires steadiness. Overreaction spreads fear. Underreaction invites collapse. Balanced response maintains trust. The philosophy warns against overcorrecting. Excessive change creates instability. Adjustment should be proportional and deliberate. There is also emphasis on learning from opposition. Resistance reveals structure. Pressure exposes weakness. Observation transforms conflict into information. Adaptation is described as continuous, not reactive. Waiting for crisis forces abrupt response. Ongoing awareness allows smooth transition. The text highlights the danger of imitation. Copying others without understanding context creates vulnerability. True adaptation is internal, not borrowed. Change must align with purpose. Directionless adaptation leads nowhere. Purpose anchors movement. Flexibility does not mean unpredictability for its own sake. It means readiness to shift while preserving coherence. The most effective adaptation appears effortless because it is prepared long before it is needed. When adaptation is complete, conflict dissolves naturally. There is no struggle, only movement, and in that movement, stability is renewed. Reading the signs of order and disorder. Before collapse becomes visible, signs always appear. Disorder announces itself quietly. Those who recognize these signals early preserve stability. Those who ignore them are forced into crisis. This philosophy teaches careful observation of patterns. Small irregularities reveal deeper imbalance. Minor disruptions often precede major failure. Nothing breaks suddenly without warning. The text emphasizes the importance of reading atmosphere. Mood, tone, and behavior communicate more than words. Silence can signal confidence or fear, depending on context. The observer must learn the difference. Disorder often begins internally. Confusion of roles, unclear purpose, and inconsistent direction weaken structure from within. External pressure only reveals what already exists. The philosophy warns against mistaking activity for health. Constant motion may hide panic. True stability allows moments of stillness without fear. There is attention given to morale as an early indicator. Fatigue, hesitation, and cynicism signal erosion. Enthusiasm without discipline signals recklessness. Balance sustains strength. Leadership is tested during subtle decline, not visible crisis. Small corrections applied early prevent dramatic intervention later. The text also discusses how discipline erodes. Rules ignored occasionally become habits. Habits become culture. Culture determines outcome. Correction must be timely and proportional. Harsh correction for minor deviation creates resentment. Delayed correction allows decay. There is an emphasis on listening. Feedback ignored transforms into resistance. Resistance ignored transforms into collapse. The philosophy distinguishes between firmness and rigidity. Firmness maintains direction. Rigidity blocks adjustment. The difference lies in awareness. Disorder spreads faster than order. It requires less energy to disrupt than to build. Therefore, protection of structure demands constant attention. The text cautions against complacency after success. Victory often masks emerging weakness. Relaxation without awareness invites reversal. There is also recognition that not all disorder should be suppressed. Some disruption signals necessary change. Discernment determines response. Reading signs requires detachment. Emotional involvement distorts perception. Calm observation reveals truth. The philosophy teaches leaders to observe themselves as carefully as they observe others. Personal imbalance reflects outward. Restoration of order begins with clarity. Clarity restores confidence. Confidence restores alignment. When disorder is addressed early, correction feels natural. When ignored, intervention becomes violent. The highest mastery prevents collapse before repair becomes necessary. And when order endures quietly, without effort, the system has achieved balance. Ground, position, and the weight of circumstance. Every action unfolds within a setting. Circumstance shapes outcome as much as intention. Those who ignore their surroundings struggle unnecessarily. Those who understand position reduce effort. Ground is not only physical terrain, it includes social conditions, emotional climate, and available resources. A favorable position multiplies strength without force. The philosophy emphasizes choosing where to stand before choosing how to act. Poor position demands constant correction. Strong position sustains itself. There is careful attention to elevation. High ground offers visibility, security, and advantage. Low ground limits awareness and invites pressure. Seeking clarity before engagement preserves safety. Proximity matters. Being too close restricts movement. Being too distant weakens influence. Optimal distance preserves flexibility. The text warns against fighting uphill battles created by poor placement. Struggle often arises not from opposition, but from standing in the wrong place. Movement through uncertain ground requires guidance. Knowledge of pathways prevents misstep. Acting without guidance invites surprise. The philosophy recognizes that favorable ground attracts resistance. What is valuable becomes contested. Preparation must anticipate this. There is emphasis on avoiding traps created by apparent opportunity. Easy gain often conceals hidden cost. Patience reveals true terrain. Position also affects morale. Secure footing builds confidence. Unstable ground creates anxiety. Stability of position calms decision-making. Leadership must consider the burden placed on those who follow. Difficult terrain exhausts quickly. Sustainable positioning preserves endurance. The text discusses transitions between positions. Sudden shifts disorient. Gradual relocation maintains order. There is also warning against overconfidence created by advantage. Favorable position can breed complacency. Awareness must remain active. Adaptation to terrain requires humility. Forcing terrain to conform to desire wastes energy. Aligning with terrain conserves it. The philosophy teaches that the best position often appears ordinary. Dramatic placement draws attention. Modest positioning avoids challenge. Circumstance changes continuously. Position must be reassessed regularly. What was safe becomes exposed. What was difficult becomes accessible. The text encourages observation before movement. Seeing clearly reduces correction later. When position is chosen wisely, action feels light. Resistance weakens. Outcomes stabilize. And when circumstance is respected rather than resisted, effort dissolves into flow. The 9 conditions of engagement. Not all situations demand the same response. Circumstance changes character as conditions shift. Mastery lies in recognizing the nature of the moment and adjusting behavior accordingly. This philosophy describes distinct conditions that shape action. Each condition carries its own risks and opportunities. Treating all situations the same guarantees failure. Some conditions invite hesitation. Others demand decisiveness. Some allow withdrawal. Others require commitment without retreat. Discernment determines survival. There are moments of shared tension where opposing forces exist side by side. In these moments, restraint prevents unnecessary escalation. Observation reveals openings. There are moments of proximity where distance collapses and reaction time shortens. Here, clarity and discipline replace deliberation. Confusion becomes fatal. There are contested moments where control shifts rapidly. These demand flexibility and speed, not stubbornness. Holding too tightly invites loss. There are open moments where movement is unrestricted. These reward coordination and awareness. Carelessness here exposes vulnerability. There are strategic moments where position controls access. These moments require foresight. Whoever understands their value shapes the future. There are deep moments where engagement extends far from support. These demand caution and conservation. Overextension becomes dangerous. There are difficult moments where effort outweighs reward. These call for patience or redirection. Persistence here drains strength. There are enclosed moments where options narrow. These demand unity and resolve. Division multiplies risk. Finally, there are critical moments where choice disappears. In such moments, hesitation guarantees collapse. Commitment alone preserves outcome. The philosophy teaches that leaders must recognize which condition they inhabit. Misreading context leads to inappropriate response. Each condition requires different emphasis, sometimes silence, sometimes speed, sometimes restraint, sometimes full engagement. The text warns against habit-driven behavior. Habit ignores context. Awareness responds to reality. Transition between conditions often occurs quietly. Awareness must remain continuous. Sudden realization arrives too late. Leadership during critical conditions must be absolute. Doubt spreads instantly. Certainty stabilizes action. Unity becomes essential when options narrow. Fragmentation invites defeat. The philosophy also stresses preparation for critical moments before they arise. Training shapes instinct. Instinct replaces hesitation. When response aligns with condition, Action feels inevitable rather than forced. Mastery is not about controlling every outcome, but about responding correctly to each moment. And when the moment passes, balance returns. Fire, restraint, and the cost of destruction. There are forces that escalate situations beyond control. Once released, they do not distinguish between intention and consequence. Among these, destruction is the most dangerous. This philosophy treats destructive force as a last resort. It is powerful, but uncontrollable. Once unleashed, it consumes more than it was meant to destroy. Action driven by anger multiplies loss. Action driven by impatience blinds judgment. Destruction may appear decisive, but it creates consequences that persist long after the moment passes. The text warns that destructive methods shorten paths at the cost of stability. What is gained quickly is often lost just as fast. What is burned cannot support the future. There is emphasis on preparation before release. Destructive force without structure becomes chaos. Even when unavoidable, it must be controlled, limited, and purposeful. The philosophy rejects action driven by emotion. Rage clouds perception. Celebration dulls awareness. Both lead to error. Restraint appears again as a central virtue. Knowing when not to act preserves more than any strike ever could. The text reminds that recovery from destruction requires more energy than destruction itself. Rebuilding drains time, trust, and resources. Victory that leaves ruin invites future conflict. Stability that preserves structure prevents return of resistance. There is a warning against leaders who act to satisfy personal emotion. Personal satisfaction is irrelevant. Collective consequence endures. Destructive action must always serve resolution, never expression. Expression belongs to ego. Resolution belongs to awareness. The philosophy also addresses aftermath. Action does not end when force stops. Consequences continue unfolding. Responsibility remains. True mastery minimizes damage. It ends conflict without creating new conditions for its return. The highest control is preventing escalation entirely. And when destruction is avoided, what remains is continuity. Knowledge, insight, and the quiet edge. All action depends on understanding. Without knowledge, effort becomes guesswork. With insight, even limited action becomes decisive. This philosophy treats information as the most valuable resource. Yet, information alone is insufficient. It must be accurate, timely, and interpreted correctly. Gathering knowledge without using it wastes effort. Acting without knowledge wastes lives. The text emphasizes the ethical weight of insight. To act blindly when clarity is available is described as irresponsible. Understanding others reduces uncertainty. Understanding oneself reduces fear. Understanding both eliminates hesitation. The philosophy categorizes knowledge by function. Some knowledge reveals structure, some reveals intention, some reveals opportunity. Each must be used appropriately. There is emphasis on discretion. Knowledge exposed prematurely loses power. Knowledge protected retains flexibility. Those who gather information must be trusted. Trust sustains accuracy. Fear distorts truth. Insight emerges not from volume, but from pattern. Seeing relationships matters more than collecting details. The text warns against overconfidence in data. Data without context misleads. Context transforms data into understanding. True insight often appears simple. Complexity usually signals confusion. The philosophy also addresses misinformation. False signals exhaust attention. Discernment preserves clarity. Leaders must protect channels of understanding. Corrupted information corrupts decision. When insight guides action, movement becomes precise. Resistance collapses quietly. And when knowledge is complete, action becomes minimal. Completion without noise. The highest resolution leaves no trace. Nothing collapses. Nothing burns. Nothing demands repair. This philosophy does not seek endings that announce themselves. It seeks outcomes that dissolve tension naturally. Completion is achieved when opposition no longer finds reason to exist. When resistance fades, not because it was crushed, but because it lost relevance. The text rejects celebration of dominance. Celebration invites return of conflict. Silence confirms stability. True resolution preserves resources, relationships, and future capacity. The philosophy reminds that continuity matters more than conquest. What endures defines success. When effort disappears, mastery is complete. When balance remains, the work is done. Silence after resolution. When movement ends, silence follows. This silence is not emptiness, but completion. It is the calm that remains when tension has dissolved and nothing more needs to be done. This philosophy teaches that true completion does not demand acknowledgement. It does not require applause, recognition, or validation. Its success is measured by stability, not visibility. Many believe that resolution must feel dramatic. In truth, drama signals imbalance. When outcomes are correct, they feel natural, almost unremarkable. The text emphasizes that restraint after success is as important as restraint before action. Overextension after resolution reopens conflict. Knowing when to stop preserves harmony. Silence protects what has been achieved. Noise attracts challenge. The wise allow results to settle without disturbance. There is also recognition that endings create space. Space allows renewal. Renewal sustains continuity. The philosophy discourages fixation on past struggle. Reflection is useful only when it informs future awareness. Attachment to memory prevents adaptation. True mastery leaves no emotional residue. Neither pride nor regret remains, only clarity. When balance is restored, attention returns inward, observation resumes. Preparation begins again quietly. Completion is not finality. It is a pause within continuous change, and within that pause, strength renews itself. The return to readiness. After silence settles, readiness begins again. Nothing remains static. Balance is maintained only through ongoing awareness. This philosophy teaches that preparation never truly ends, it simply changes form. When tension dissolves, observation resumes. When action concludes, listening deepens. Readiness is not anxiety, it is calm alertness. The mind remains open without being strained. The body remains capable without being tense. The text emphasizes renewal through simplicity. Excess knowledge clutters perception. Excess preparation drains energy. Refinement sharpens clarity. There is value in routine, but danger in rigidity. Routine supports stability. Rigidity blocks response. The wise maintain structure without attachment. Periods of calm are not invitations to neglect. They are opportunities to strengthen foundation quietly. The philosophy also addresses humility. Mastery does not remove uncertainty. It refines response to it. Confidence remains flexible. Those who believe they have finished learning begin to decline. Awareness must remain active even in peace. Readiness includes emotional regulation. Calm preserves range of response. Emotional extremes narrow choice. The text reminds that future conditions will differ from past ones. Memory guides, but observation decides. True preparedness is invisible. It does not announce itself. It exists quietly, waiting without impatience. And when change arrives, readiness transforms silence into movement without friction. The discipline of not doing. Some of the strongest actions are invisible because they never happen. This philosophy places quiet discipline at the center of mastery. The discipline of not doing what impulse demands. Not doing is not avoidance. It is selection. It is refusing to spend energy where it will not return value. It is protecting the future by declining unnecessary struggle. Many conflicts intensify because people cannot tolerate silence. They speak too soon, act too fast, and react too loudly. They attempt to control discomfort by creating motion. Yet motion born from discomfort rarely leads to clarity. The text teaches a different path. Stay still long enough to see what is real. Wait long enough to learn what is temporary. Pause long enough for the hidden structure to reveal itself. Not doing also means not feeding provocation. Provocation survives only when it receives attention. Without attention, it fades. Without response, it loses power. There is a subtle strength in refusing to be pulled. When others try to set the tempo, calmness interrupts their control. The one who chooses when to move controls the rhythm. The discipline of not doing includes resisting the need to prove strength. Those who perform strength invite comparison and challenge. Those who remain quiet preserve freedom. It also includes resisting premature certainty. Certainty ends observation. Observation is what keeps you adaptable. Remaining open protects you from being trapped by your own assumptions. The philosophy warns that excessive intervention can create the very disorder it seeks to prevent. Overmanaging weakens trust. Overcorrecting creates resentment. Overacting drains energy. Sometimes the most effective correction is simply removing pressure, allowing space, letting tension settle, giving time for natural balance to return. Not doing does not mean never acting. It means acting only when action is clean, purposeful, and timed correctly. And when action is truly necessary, it becomes simple. It does not need drama. It does not need repeated force. It happens once, decisively, and ends. The more refined your restraint becomes, the more precise your movement becomes, because when you stop wasting energy, you begin to see clearly. And when you see clearly, you rarely need to fight at all. Clarity without attachment. Clarity is fragile when it is tied to desire. The moment understanding becomes personal, it bends. This philosophy teaches clarity without attachment, perception without ownership. Attachment narrows vision. When outcome becomes identity, flexibility disappears. The mind begins to defend conclusions instead of observing reality. The text emphasizes the value of distance. Distance from emotion, distance from expectation, distance from personal reward. This distance does not weaken involvement, it sharpens it. When nothing needs to be protected, everything can be seen. There is a warning against over-identification with success. Success creates habits. Habits create blind spots. Blind spots invite disruption. The philosophy encourages continuous re-examination. What worked before may no longer apply. What feels correct may no longer fit. Observation must remain alive. Clarity also requires release of fear. Fear seeks certainty. Certainty freezes awareness. Calm curiosity preserves range. The text highlights the danger of fixed identity. Roles that harden restrict response. Function must remain fluid. Purpose remains. Form changes. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means freedom from distortion. Care without clinging. Focus without tension. There is also emphasis on simplicity of thought. Excess interpretation clouds perception. Clear seeing requires minimal commentary. The philosophy teaches that when clarity is present, decision feels obvious. Not easy, but obvious. Complexity dissolves. Those who cultivate clarity without attachment are difficult to mislead. They respond to what is, not to what they wish or fear. And because they do not cling, they do not hesitate when change arrives. Clarity that moves freely becomes instinct. An instinct guided by awareness rarely fails. The weight of timing. Every moment carries a different weight. Action taken at the wrong time becomes a burden. Action taken at the right time becomes effortless. This philosophy treats timing as invisible alignment. It cannot be forced. It must be recognized. Those who rush ahead of time exhaust themselves. Those who wait beyond it lose opportunity. Timing is sensed through observation, not calculation. Numbers inform, but awareness decides. Subtle shifts often matter more than obvious signals. The text warns against impatience disguised as decisiveness. True decisiveness emerges naturally when conditions align. Forced decisions reveal uncertainty. There is also caution against hesitation disguised as caution. Excess delay erodes momentum. Awareness must remain active, not passive. Timing depends on rhythm. Rhythm is felt through continuity. Those who remain present sense when movement becomes necessary. The philosophy emphasizes preparation without fixation. Preparedness allows immediate response without urgency. Urgency blinds perception. Correct timing shortens conflict. Incorrect timing prolongs it. Many struggles exist only because action was mistimed. The text highlights that timing applies not only to beginnings, but to endings. Ending too soon leaves instability. Ending too late creates damage. Withdrawal has its own timing. Retreat taken too early appears weak. Taken too late becomes escape. Silence also has timing. Speaking at the wrong moment creates resistance. Speaking at the right moment dissolves it. The philosophy teaches respect for cycles, expansion and contraction, movement and rest. Ignoring cycles creates friction. Those who align with timing appear fortunate. Those who fight it appear unlucky. Fortune follows alignment. When timing is correct, effort decreases, resistance thins, outcomes stabilize. And when timing is missed, even strength becomes heavy. The wise carry light weight because they move with time, not against it. Seeing without interference. Perception is most accurate when it is least disturbed. This philosophy teaches seeing without interference, observing without forcing meaning onto what appears. Interference comes from expectation. When the mind anticipates outcome, it reshapes what it sees. Reality becomes filtered through desire or fear. Clarity fades. The text encourages neutral observation. Watch events as they unfold. Allow patterns to reveal themselves. Do not rush to explain. Explanation can wait. Seeing cannot. There is emphasis on patience of perception. Immediate interpretation often misses deeper structure. What seems obvious at first glance is rarely complete. The philosophy warns against overanalysis. Excess thought fractures attention. Simple awareness integrates it. Seeing precedes thinking. Interference also arises from the need to respond. When reaction is prioritized, perception shortens. When response is delayed, understanding deepens. Silence supports accurate seeing. Noise distracts attention. Stillness sharpens it. The text highlights the value of observing behavior rather than words. Words often conceal. Behavior reveals direction. Seeing without interference also requires emotional steadiness. Emotional waves distort perception. Calm waters reflect clearly. The philosophy discourages constant judgment. Judgment locks interpretation prematurely. Openness preserves adaptability. True perception notices change at its beginning. Early shifts appear insignificant. Awareness gives them meaning. Those who see clearly move precisely. Those who interfere move blindly. When perception is unobstructed, action becomes minimal. And when action is minimal, disturbance disappears. Seeing without interference is the foundation of effortless response. Endurance through simplicity. Endurance does not come from force. It comes from simplicity. The more complex a system becomes, the more fragile it grows. The simpler it remains, the longer it lasts. This philosophy values what can be sustained. Short bursts of intensity impress briefly, but they fade quickly. Quiet consistency carries far greater strength over time. Simplicity removes friction. When unnecessary elements fall away, energy flows freely. Decisions become lighter. Movement becomes cleaner. The text warns that excess ambition shortens endurance. Wanting too much too quickly consumes reserves. Moderation preserves capacity. There is emphasis on maintaining what already works. Improvement does not always require addition. Often it requires subtraction. The philosophy encourages reducing dependency. The fewer elements required for success, the more stable the outcome. Endurance also depends on emotional economy. Strong reactions drain strength. Calm presence conserves it. The text highlights that sustainable effort feels almost invisible. It does not announce itself. It simply continues. Those who seek constant stimulation lose patience. Those who value quiet progress outlast opposition. Simplicity also sharpens awareness. Fewer variables allow clearer perception. Clear perception reduces error. The philosophy discourages chasing novelty. What is new is not always useful. What is proven endures. Endurance is not stubbornness. It is adaptability supported by restraint. When simplicity guides structure, stability follows naturally. And when stability endures, strength no longer needs to be proven. The quiet center. At the heart of all movement lies stillness. This philosophy returns again and again to the quiet center, the place where awareness remains steady while everything else shifts. The quiet center is not withdrawal from life. It is the position from which life can be observed without distortion. From here, reaction slows and response becomes deliberate. The text teaches that when the center is stable, external pressure loses influence. Chaos can surround without penetrating. Noise can rise without disrupting clarity. Many lose balance by chasing events. They move with every disturbance, exhausting themselves. The wise remain centered and allow events to pass through their awareness. The quiet center is cultivated through restraint, speaking less, acting less, wanting less. Each reduction strengthens stability. There is emphasis on inner order. External order cannot be maintained without it. Inner confusion projects outward. The philosophy warns that excitement is as disruptive as fear. Both pull attention away from center. Calm preserves alignment. From the quiet center, timing becomes clearer. Movement emerges naturally. Decisions feel lighter. The text highlights that strength rooted in center does not fluctuate. It remains consistent regardless of circumstance. Those who operate from center do not rush to control. Control emerges indirectly through presence. The quiet center also allows recovery. When tension dissipates, renewal begins. Without a center, endurance collapses. With it, effort becomes sustainable. The philosophy suggests that mastery is not accumulation of techniques, but refinement of center. And when the center holds, everything else arranges itself around it. Completion as continuation. Completion is often misunderstood as an ending. This philosophy presents it, instead, as continuation without friction. When a process completes naturally, it leaves no residue. Nothing needs to be undone. Nothing needs repair. What follows grows easily from what came before. The text discourages fixation on closure. Forcing an ending creates disruption. Allowing completion preserves flow. Completion requires awareness of sufficiency. Knowing when enough has been achieved prevents overreach. There is a warning against prolonging action beyond necessity. Extra movement introduces instability. Restraint protects outcome. The philosophy teaches that every resolution carries the seed of the next phase. Awareness must remain open. Those who cling to completion stop adapting. Those who treat completion as a pause remain flexible. True completion feels quiet. It does not demand confirmation. The text reminds that cycles continue regardless of individual intention. Aligning with cycles reduces resistance. When completion is respected, transition becomes smooth. And when transition is smooth, effort disappears. The final alignment. All previous principles converge into alignment. Alignment between intention and action. Alignment between inner state and outer condition. Alignment between movement and time. This philosophy defines mastery as sustained alignment. Misalignment creates struggle. Alignment dissolves it. The text emphasizes honesty of perception. Seeing clearly prevents self-deception. Self-deception is the root of misalignment. There is focus on coherence. When some move together, strength multiplies. When they conflict, energy leaks away. Alignment requires constant adjustment. Small corrections maintain balance. Large corrections signal neglect. The philosophy warns against rigid identity. Identity that cannot adjust fractures alignment. Those who remain aligned do not feel strain. Their movement feels natural. The final alignment is quiet. No declaration marks it. Only ease remains. When alignment holds, conflict loses shape. And when conflict loses shape, peace does not need to be defended. Stillness that moves. The highest movement arises from stillness. Stillness that is alert. Stillness that sees. Stillness that is ready. This philosophy concludes not with instruction, but with reminder. Return to stillness. Observe. Wait. From stillness, movement will come when it is needed. And when it comes, it will be exact. Nothing wasted. Nothing forced. Nothing delayed. Stillness moves when time arrives. And when time passes, stillness returns. The long view. What appears urgent rarely is. What appears slow often lasts. This philosophy invites a long view. One that stretches beyond immediate gain and temporary loss. Short vision amplifies reaction. Long vision refines response. When perspective widens, pressure softens. The text teaches that endurance is born from patience with process. Outcomes mature at their own pace. Forcing maturity weakens structure. There is emphasis on continuity. Actions should connect smoothly to what came before and what follows after. Abrupt shifts create instability. The long view values accumulation of small advantages. Minor adjustments sustained over time outweigh dramatic gestures. The philosophy warns against living at the edge of intensity. Constant urgency depletes clarity. Calm pacing preserves awareness. From a long view, setbacks become information, loss becomes instruction, nothing is wasted. Those who see far do not panic near. They understand that movement unfolds across cycles. When perspective extends, fear contracts. And when fear contracts, choice expands. Listening before movement. Before action, listen, not only to words, but to tone, rhythm, and absence. Much is revealed in what is not said. This philosophy elevates listening as a form of intelligence. Those who listen deeply move accurately. The text cautions against preparing responses while others speak. Anticipation blocks reception. Listening requires stillness. Stillness gathers information that motion cannot. There is recognition that environments speak. Patterns of behavior, pace of change, and emotional climate all communicate direction. Listening also applies inward. Tension, hesitation, and ease signal alignment or misalignment. The philosophy discourages ignoring discomfort. Discomfort often points toward necessary adjustment. Those who listen well reduce the need to correct later. When listening is complete, movement becomes obvious. And when movement is obvious, effort decreases. Minimal action, maximum effect. Effectiveness is measured not by effort expended, but by disturbance avoided. This philosophy seeks the smallest action that produces the largest alignment. Minimal action requires precision. Precision requires understanding. Understanding requires patience. The text warns against the habit of doing more to compensate for unclear direction. Excess action hides uncertainty. True efficiency removes unnecessary steps. It simplifies path and purpose simultaneously. There is emphasis on leverage. A small shift at the right point transforms the whole structure. The philosophy teaches that control is strongest where force is least visible. Those who act minimally preserve flexibility. Those who act excessively trap themselves. Minimal action leaves room for adjustment, and room for adjustment sustains stability. Resilience without resistance. Resilience does not mean hardness. Hardness cracks. Resilience bends and returns. This philosophy distinguishes resilience from defiance. Defiance confronts. Resilience absorbs and adapts. The text teaches that resisting change creates strain. Adapting to it preserves form. There is emphasis on recovery. Quick recovery outperforms rigid defense. Resilience grows from familiarity with fluctuation. Those who expect stability are shaken by disruption. The philosophy encourages exposure to variation. Controlled challenge strengthens response. Resilient systems do not fear stress, they integrate it. And when stress passes, they remain intact. The unfinished practice. There is no final mastery, only ongoing practice. This philosophy closes by reopening attention. Every principle described here returns to awareness. Awareness refines itself through use. The text discourages seeking completion. Completion fixes form. Practice remains alive. Each moment invites alignment. Each situation tests clarity. The practice continues quietly, without announcement, and as long as awareness remains, the path remains open. The quiet refinement. Refinement does not arrive through addition. It arrives through removal. This philosophy teaches that progress often comes from letting go rather than building up. As unnecessary elements fall away, what remains becomes clearer. Movement sharpens, intention simplifies, effort lightens. The text warns that accumulation creates weight. Weight slows response. Lightness preserves adaptability. Refinement requires honesty. One must see what no longer serves and release it without regret. Attachment delays clarity. There is emphasis on repeated simplification. What was once useful may later become obstruction. Regular review prevents stagnation. The philosophy values elegance. Elegance is efficiency without excess. It is strength without display. Those who refine continuously remain effective without strain. And as refinement deepens, action becomes quieter. Trusting the process. Control often arises from fear. Fear seeks certainty. This philosophy encourages trust in process rather than obsession with outcome. Trust does not mean neglect. It means sustained attention without forcing results. The text teaches that processes unfold through stages. Interrupting them prematurely creates instability. There is a distinction between guidance and interference. Guidance supports flow. Interference disrupts it. Those who trust process respond to signals instead of imposing direction. Trust also applies inward. Doubt fragments action. Confidence steadies it. When trust is present, patience grows naturally. And with patience, clarity deepens. Balance between firmness and yield. Strength without yield becomes brittle. Yield without firmness dissolves. This philosophy holds both. Firmness provides direction. Yield provides adaptability. Together, they create resilience. The text warns against extremes. Excess firmness invites resistance. Excess yield invites disorder. Balance is dynamic, not fixed. It shifts with circumstance. The skilled practitioner senses when to hold and when to release. Holding too long exhausts. Releasing too early destabilizes. When balance is correct, movement feels smooth, and smooth movement preserves strength. Clarity under pressure. Pressure reveals structure. Weak foundations crack, strong ones adapt. This philosophy teaches preparation for pressure before it arrives. Under pressure, there is no time to build. Clarity under pressure comes from familiarity. What is practiced calmly appears naturally in strain. The text emphasizes reducing complexity before pressure arises. Those who simplify early respond cleanly later. Pressure is not an enemy. It is information. When clarity remains under pressure, outcome stabilizes. The subtle return. Every cycle completes by returning to origin. This philosophy closes where it began. Awareness. After movement, return to stillness. After success, return to humility. After clarity, return to observation. The return preserves balance. Without return, excess accumulates. The text teaches that renewal depends on willingness to begin again. Nothing achieved exempts one from attention, and so the practice continues, quietly, without end. Space between actions. What happens between actions matters as much as action itself. This philosophy draws attention to the spaces that are usually ignored. In these spaces, understanding settles, emotion cools, perspective widens. Without space, action becomes compulsive. The text teaches that continuous action without pause leads to distortion. Pauses restore accuracy. Space allows consequences to reveal themselves. Acting again too quickly hides feedback. Those who respect space reduce error. Those who rush fill silence with mistake. Space is not emptiness, it is integration. And when integration is complete, the next action becomes obvious. Gentle authority. Authority does not need force to exist. It is felt through consistency, fairness, and calm presence. This philosophy distinguishes dominance from authority. Dominance demands compliance. Authority invites alignment. Gentle authority stabilizes environments. It reduces friction without suppressing movement. The text warns that authority built on fear requires constant reinforcement. Authority built on trust sustains itself. Those who embody calm influence others without command. When authority is gentle, resistance dissolves quietly. Freedom through limits. Limits are often misunderstood as restriction. This philosophy presents them as structure that enables freedom. Without limits, energy scatters. With clear limits, movement becomes precise. The text emphasizes choosing limits consciously rather than having them imposed by failure. Self-chosen limits preserve dignity and control. Within limits, creativity flourishes, and within structure, freedom gains direction. Awareness of consequence. Every action ripples outward. This philosophy teaches awareness beyond immediate effect. Consequences unfold across time and relationship. Ignoring them creates instability. The text encourages responsibility without heaviness. Awareness, not guilt, guides correction. Those who see consequence early act more gently, and gentle action preserves continuity. The ongoing quiet. There is no final silence, only quieter awareness. This philosophy ends not with conclusion but with continuation. Observation remains. Adjustment continues. Balance renews. Nothing is finished. Nothing is forced. The quiet goes on, and within it, readiness remains. Presence over position. Position can be taken. Presence must be embodied. This philosophy shifts attention from where one stands to how one stands. Presence stabilizes situations before words are spoken. It communicates without instruction. It influences without demand. The text teaches that presence grows from coherence. When thought, emotion, and action align, presence emerges naturally. Those who chase position rely on external markers. Those who cultivate presence carry stability wherever they go. Presence reduces the need for correction. It calms uncertainty. It slows impulsive reaction. When presence is strong, conflict hesitates, and in that hesitation, resolution finds space. Subtle leadership. Leadership need not be visible to be effective. This philosophy presents leadership as guidance that leaves no imprint. Subtle leadership shapes conditions rather than issuing commands. It removes obstacles rather than forcing direction. The text warns that visible control invites resistance. Quiet guidance invites cooperation. Those who lead subtly allow others to feel ownership of movement. Ownership sustains momentum. Subtle leadership requires trust in process and people. And when trust is present, direction holds without pressure. The economy of attention. Attention is limited. Where it is spent determines outcome. This philosophy emphasizes guarding attention carefully. Distraction weakens precision. Focus conserves energy. The text teaches withdrawing attention from provocation and placing it on alignment. Attention invested wisely multiplies effectiveness. Those who scatter attention exhaust themselves. Those who focus lightly endure. Gentle correction. Correction does not need severity to be effective. This philosophy favors gentle adjustment over harsh intervention. Small corrections applied early prevent large corrections later. The text warns that punishment without understanding breeds resistance. Correction guided by clarity restores balance. When correction is gentle, learning remains open. Return to simplicity. Complexity accumulates naturally. Simplicity requires intention. This philosophy closes again with simplification. Remove excess. Clarify purpose. Reduce noise. When simplicity returns, movement becomes light. And when movement is light, effort fades. Continuity of awareness. Awareness does not end with action. It flows through rest, success, and failure. This philosophy teaches continuity of attention across all states. Those who maintain awareness avoid sudden imbalance. Continuity preserves coherence. Quiet strength. Strength need not announce itself. This philosophy honors quiet capacity over visible force. Quiet strength adapts. Loud strength resists. The text reminds that durability comes from calm, and calm outlasts pressure. Enduring alignment. Alignment is not achieved once. It is renewed continually. This philosophy emphasizes regular recalibration. Small adjustments maintain harmony. Neglect magnifies error. Letting outcomes breathe. After action, allow space. Do not rush to define result. Outcomes need time to settle. This philosophy values patience after movement. When outcomes breathe, clarity emerges. Awareness remains. Nothing final is declared. Awareness remains. Movement will come again when needed, and when it does, it will be quiet. Stability without rigidity. Stability that cannot bend will eventually break. This philosophy teaches stability that remains alive, responsive, and flexible. Rigidity often hides fear. It clings to form because it distrusts change. True stability trusts its own adaptability. The text emphasizes creating structures that allow movement within them. Boundaries guide but do not imprison. Those who confuse stability with control exhaust themselves maintaining appearance. Living stability adjusts quietly, without drama. Calm decision does not require urgency. Calm decision emerges when understanding is complete. This philosophy distinguishes speed from haste. Speed arises naturally from clarity. Haste arises from pressure. The text warns that rushed decisions often solve one problem while creating another. Calm decision resolves more than it disturbs. When decision is calm, responsibility feels light. Invisible preparation. Preparation that is visible invites interference. This philosophy values preparation that leaves no trace. Invisible preparation is internal. It sharpens perception, steadies emotion, and simplifies response. The text teaches that when preparation is complete, action feels spontaneous. Others call it luck. It is readiness. Selective engagement. Not every challenge deserves response. This philosophy teaches choosing engagement carefully. Energy is finite. Spending it wisely preserves freedom. The text warns against reacting to every disturbance. Many disturbances fade when ignored. Selective engagement protects focus. Quiet confidence. Confidence does not announce itself. It does not compete. This philosophy describes confidence as comfort with uncertainty. Those who are confident do not rush to reassure themselves. Quiet confidence steadies environments. Natural authority. Authority rooted in force must be defended constantly. Authority rooted in coherence sustains itself. This philosophy presents authority as a byproduct of consistency. People follow what feels stable. Natural authority requires no performance. Flow over force. Force resists. Flow adapts. This philosophy repeatedly returns to flow as the most efficient path. Force creates opposition. Flow dissolves it. Those who flow conserve energy. Awareness of limits. Limits are teachers. Ignoring them invites correction. This philosophy encourages listening to fatigue, resistance, and hesitation. Limits signal where adjustment is needed. Respecting limits preserves longevity. The quiet choice. Every moment offers choice. Most choices are small. This philosophy teaches honoring small choices. They shape direction. Grand decisions rarely matter as much as consistent ones. Quiet choice builds quiet strength. Ongoing balance. Balance is not static. It is maintained through attention. This philosophy closes another cycle without ending it. Balance shifts. Awareness follows. Nothing is complete. Awareness continues. Strength that waits. Not all strength moves forward. Some strength waits. This philosophy honors patience not as delay, but as readiness held in reserve. Waiting is often misunderstood as inaction. In truth, waiting gathers information, preserves energy, and sharpens timing. The text teaches that premature movement exposes intention. Delayed movement conceals it. Those who can wait control the moment of release. Waiting also tests resolve. What is unnecessary falls away with time. What remains gains clarity. Strength that waits does not fade, it concentrates. And when it finally moves, resistance is already weakened. Clarity over certainty. Certainty feels comforting, but it limits awareness. This philosophy favors clarity, which remains open. Flexible and responsive. Certainty ends questioning. Clarity continues observing. The text warns that rigid belief creates blind spots. Blind spots invite disruption. Those who value clarity adapt smoothly. Those who demand certainty struggle when conditions shift. Clarity allows revision without loss of dignity. And in clarity, humility strengthens insight. The light step heavy movement leaves traces. Light movement passes unnoticed. This philosophy teaches moving lightly through situations. Touch gently, adjust subtly, leave little behind. Light steps preserve options. Heavy steps close them. The text encourages minimizing footprint. What is unnoticed rarely invites resistance. Those who move lightly remain free. Gentle persistence. Persistence does not require force. Gentle persistence continues without exhausting itself. This philosophy distinguishes persistence from obsession. Obsession narrows focus. Persistence maintains direction calmly. The text teaches that small, steady effort outlasts intense bursts. Gentle persistence does not argue with obstacles. It flows around them, and over time, it reaches where force cannot. Awareness and rest. Rest is not absence of awareness. It is awareness without effort. This philosophy encourages conscious rest. Rest that restores perception. Unconscious rest dulls. Conscious rest renews. The text warns against collapsing into distraction. True rest remains present. From restful awareness, clarity returns naturally. Preparation without anxiety. Preparation driven by fear creates tension. This philosophy teaches preparation rooted in calm. Calm preparation strengthens confidence. Anxious preparation drains it. The text emphasizes trusting readiness rather than rehearsing catastrophe. Those who prepare calmly respond cleanly. Listening to resistance. Resistance is information, not opposition. This philosophy encourages studying resistance rather than fighting it. Resistance reveals where force is misplaced. It points toward better alignment. The text teaches adjusting approach when resistance persists. Listening dissolves what force strengthens. Integrity of action. Action carries weight when it aligns with inner clarity. This philosophy values integrity over effectiveness alone. Action that contradicts inner sense creates fragmentation. Integrity unifies intention and movement, and unified action endures, the silent signal. Not all communication uses words. Presence sends signals continuously. This philosophy emphasizes awareness of what is transmitted without speaking. Calm transmits safety. Tension transmits urgency. Those who manage inner state influence outer response. The unending thread. All practice connects through awareness. This philosophy does not conclude. It continues as long as attention remains alive. Each moment offers refinement. Each situation renews alignment. The thread does not end. It is followed quietly. Clarity in uncertainty. Uncertainty is not an enemy. It is a condition of life. This philosophy teaches clarity within uncertainty rather than escape from it. When uncertainty is resisted, fear grows. When it is observed, understanding forms. The mind that accepts uncertainty remains flexible. The text emphasizes distinguishing what can be known from what cannot. Effort spent chasing certainty wastes energy. Effort spent refining response preserves balance. Clarity does not require full information. It requires sufficient awareness to act without distortion. Those who tolerate uncertainty respond more accurately than those who deny it. And in uncertainty, awareness sharpens. Soft influence. Influence does not always persuade. Sometimes it softens. This philosophy values influence that reshapes environment gently. Soft influence does not confront directly. It alters conditions so confrontation loses meaning. The text teaches that people change more easily when they feel unforced. Soft influence preserves dignity on all sides, and dignity stabilizes interaction. Attention to small shifts. Large changes begin with small shifts. This philosophy trains attention on subtle movement. The text warns that waiting for obvious signs is often too late. Small hesitations, minor tone changes, slight delays all signal deeper transitions. Those who notice early adjust effortlessly. And early adjustment prevents crisis. The light hand. Heavy hands break delicate systems. This philosophy teaches acting with a light hand. A light hand corrects without damage. It guides without pressure. The text emphasizes restraint in intervention. Less often does more. Those who intervene lightly preserve trust. Patience with people. People move at different speeds. This philosophy teaches patience without indulgence. Patience allows growth. Indulgence enables stagnation. The difference lies in awareness. The text warns against forcing readiness. Readiness cannot be commanded. When patience is balanced, alignment emerges. The space of choice between stimulus and response lies space. This philosophy centers on expanding that space. Within space, choice appears. Without space, reaction dominates. The text teaches cultivating pause. Pause restores agency. Those who protect space protect freedom. Quiet repair. Not all damage requires reconstruction. Some requires only attention. This philosophy values repair that is subtle and continuous. The text teaches noticing strain before break. Quiet repair prevents collapse. Respecting momentum. Momentum carries its own intelligence. This philosophy teaches working with it rather than against it. Forcing redirection wastes energy. Gentle guidance reshapes flow. The text warns against sudden interruption. When momentum is respected, transitions smooth. Balanced resolve. Resolve without flexibility becomes stubbornness. Flexibility without resolve becomes drift. This philosophy holds both. Balanced resolve adapts while maintaining direction. Those who hold balance endure. Awareness without end. There is no final lesson. Awareness remains the practice. Each moment renews it, and with renewal, movement stays true. The calm before choice. Every choice is preceded by a moment of calm, whether noticed or not. This philosophy invites attention to that moment, because within it lies freedom. When calm is recognized, reaction slows, options widen. The mind steps back from impulse and sees more than one path. The text teaches that urgency compresses choice. Calm expands it. Even a brief pause restores clarity. Those who learn to recognize calm before choice act with fewer regrets. And when calm becomes familiar, choice becomes cleaner. The strength of restraint. Restraint is often mistaken for weakness. This philosophy reveals it as controlled strength. Restraint preserves energy. It prevents escalation. It keeps options open. The text warns that unchecked action multiplies consequences. Those who restrain themselves move with greater precision when action is required, and precision protects outcome. Clarity in communication. Words shape reality. This philosophy emphasizes clarity over volume. Clear communication reduces friction. Excess explanation creates confusion. The text teaches speaking only what serves alignment. Silence, when appropriate, communicates stability. Those who speak clearly reduce the need to correct later. Letting tension settle. Not all tension demands resolution. Some dissolves when left alone. This philosophy teaches allowing tension to settle before intervening. Immediate response often amplifies strain. When tension settles naturally, clarity appears. Gentle direction. Direction does not need force. It needs consistency. This philosophy presents direction as repeated alignment rather than command. Small signals given steadily guide movement more effectively than loud instruction. Awareness of cost. Every action carries cost. This philosophy teaches calculating cost before committing. Cost includes time, energy, trust, and attention. Those who consider cost choose more carefully. Careful choice preserves capacity. Strength through acceptance. Acceptance does not surrender agency. It removes resistance. This philosophy shows that accepting reality allows effective response. Fighting what is drains energy. Working with it conserves strength. Acceptance clarifies action. The quiet boundary. Boundaries protect clarity. This philosophy emphasizes boundaries that are firm but calm. Clear boundaries reduce conflict. Unclear boundaries invite pressure. Those who hold boundaries quietly maintain respect. Preparation in silence. Silence prepares the mind more effectively than noise. This philosophy values silent review, quiet adjustment, and unseen readiness. Preparation completed in silence reveals itself through ease. The living practice. Practice is not repetition of form, it is renewal of awareness. This philosophy closes another arc without ending. Awareness remains active. Movement will come when needed, and when it comes, it will be simple. Ease over effort. Effort feels noble, but ease is more reliable. This philosophy teaches choosing the path that requires less strain, not because it is easier, but because it is sustainable. When effort increases, error follows. Tension narrows perception. Ease widens it. The text emphasizes designing situations where success requires minimal force. When conditions are aligned, effort becomes unnecessary. Those who value ease preserve clarity longer than those who glorify struggle. Ease is not laziness. It is intelligence applied before action. Awareness of rhythm. Everything moves in rhythm. Ignoring rhythm creates friction. Respecting it creates flow. This philosophy teaches listening for rhythm in conversation, movement, and change. Acting against rhythm exhausts. Acting with rhythm conserves. Those who sense rhythm adjust naturally, and natural adjustment reduces resistance. The value of pause. Pause is not interruption, it is integration. This philosophy places pause at the center of refinement. Pause allows insight to settle. Without pause, understanding remains incomplete. Those who pause regularly act more precisely. Pause restores proportion. Minimal direction. Too much direction creates dependency. This philosophy values minimal direction that encourages autonomy. Clear intention allows others to move freely. The text teaches guiding outcome rather than controlling method. Minimal direction multiplies ownership. Quiet alignment. Alignment does not need confirmation. It is felt through reduced friction. This philosophy encourages sensing alignment through ease, not applause. When alignment is present, resistance fades. Sustained attention. Attention applied briefly produces temporary change. Attention sustained produces stability. This philosophy emphasizes continuity of focus over intensity. Those who sustain attention avoid dramatic correction. Consistency replaces force. Clarity before commitment. Commitment without clarity creates obligation. Commitment with clarity creates freedom. This philosophy teaches delaying commitment until understanding is sufficient. Clear commitment holds under pressure. Gentle ending. Endings do not need emphasis. This philosophy values endings that taper naturally. Abrupt endings shock systems. Gentle endings preserve continuity. Knowing when to withdraw protects future movement. The open hand, holding too tightly, exhausts. An open hand remains responsive. This philosophy teaches releasing control without losing direction. Openness allows adjustment, and adjustment preserves balance. Awareness continues. Nothing concludes here. Awareness remains active. Practice continues quietly, and with each moment, alignment renews itself. The quiet after momentum. After momentum passes, there is a subtle stillness. This stillness is not emptiness, but integration. It is where lessons settle without effort. This philosophy teaches honoring the quiet that follows action. Rushing to the next move blurs understanding. Allowing stillness sharpens it. In this quiet, excess intention dissolves. What remains is essential. Those who respect the quiet move forward with fewer mistakes. Refining intuition. Intuition is not impulse. It is perception refined through experience. This philosophy treats intuition as awareness that has learned to speak softly. It emerges when the mind is uncluttered. The text emphasizes training attention rather than trusting reaction. When intuition is clear, decisions feel immediate and calm. Less explanation, more coherence. Explanation often compensates for lack of coherence. This philosophy values coherence over persuasion. When structure is sound, explanation becomes unnecessary. Those who act coherently are understood without words. The gentle pace. Speed attracts attention. Pace sustains movement. This philosophy favors a gentle pace that can be maintained indefinitely. Pace allows correction without disruption, and with steady pace, endurance grows naturally. Awareness in transition. Transitions carry risk. They also carry opportunity. This philosophy teaches heightened awareness during transition. What is unstable can be guided gently. What is ignored fractures. Quiet confidence revisited. Confidence matures over time. It becomes quieter, not louder. This philosophy returns to confidence as comfort with not knowing everything. Quiet confidence adapts without apology. Letting outcomes teach. Every outcome contains instruction. This philosophy encourages listening after action. Blame blocks learning. Curiosity opens it. Minimal correction. Correction works best when barely noticeable. This philosophy values adjustments that do not disturb momentum. Large corrections signal neglect. Small corrections signal care. Awareness without display. Awareness does not need to be shown. This philosophy teaches practicing without performance. Performance seeks approval. Practice seeks alignment. The ongoing stillness. Stillness returns again, not as an ending, as a ground, from which movement will arise when needed. Staying with what is, much effort is wasted resisting the present moment. This philosophy teaches staying with what is, without trying to escape or improve it prematurely. Staying does not mean agreeing. It means seeing clearly before acting. When the present is fully seen, unnecessary struggle falls away. The text emphasizes that many problems resolve themselves when they are no longer fought. Attention transforms more than force. Those who stay present respond accurately. Clarity before correction. Correction applied without clarity multiplies confusion. This philosophy teaches waiting until understanding stabilizes before intervening. Clear correction feels light. Unclear correction feels heavy. Those who wait briefly correct once. The soft edge. Sharp edges cut quickly but break easily. Soft edges endure. This philosophy values softness that absorbs pressure without losing form. Softness adapts. Hardness resists. Those who soften survive longer. Effortless respect. Respect cannot be demanded. It emerges naturally from consistency and care. This philosophy treats respect as an outcome, not a strategy. When behavior aligns, respect follows quietly. The power of allowing. Allowing creates space for resolution. This philosophy teaches that not everything requires management. Allowing does not mean neglect. It means trusting natural balance. Many tensions dissolve when allowed to settle. Awareness of direction. Direction matters more than speed. This philosophy emphasizes ensuring direction before increasing movement. Fast movement in the wrong direction deepens error. Clear direction slows nothing. Subtle continuity. Continuity is maintained through small, repeated alignment. This philosophy values consistency over intensity. Small alignment prevents large correction. Letting silence work. Silence is active. It gathers information. It calms systems. This philosophy teaches letting silence do its work before speaking. Words spoken after silence carry more weight. The balanced exit. Leaving well matters as much as entering well. This philosophy values exits that preserve relationship and structure. A balanced exit keeps future paths open. Practice without end. There is no final mastery, only continued refinement. Awareness returns to its beginning. End continues. Quiet orientation. Before any movement, orientation occurs. This philosophy teaches noticing where attention is pointed before deciding where to go. Orientation shapes outcome. When attention faces fear, movement contracts. When attention faces understanding, movement opens. The text emphasizes reorienting gently rather than forcing change. A small shift in focus alters the entire path. Those who orient quietly move with less resistance. Stability through familiarity. Familiarity reduces fear. This philosophy encourages becoming familiar with uncertainty itself. When uncertainty is known, it no longer shocks. It becomes terrain rather than threat. The text teaches repeated exposure without struggle. Over time, steadiness replaces reaction. Familiarity builds calm strength. The unforced step. The best step is the one that does not feel pushed. This philosophy values steps that arise naturally from alignment. Forced steps require correction. Unforced steps sustain momentum. When the step is right, hesitation disappears. Clarity in simplicity. Complex explanation often hides unclear thought. This philosophy returns again to simplicity as a test of clarity. If understanding is deep, expression becomes simple. Simplicity reveals truth. Gentle presence. Presence does not need intensity. It needs steadiness. This philosophy teaches remaining available without intrusion. Gentle presence supports without controlling. Those who remain gently present stabilize others. Awareness of return. Every movement returns to stillness. This philosophy emphasizes noticing the return, not clinging to motion. Return restores balance. Ignoring return accumulates strain. Listening to outcome. Outcome speaks softly at first. This philosophy teaches listening after action, not rushing ahead. Outcome feedback guides refinement. Those who listen improve naturally. Minimal commitment. Commit fully only where alignment is clear. This philosophy teaches avoiding half commitment and overcommitment alike. Clear commitment feels light. Unclear commitment feels heavy. The quiet correction. Correction works best when it barely registers. This philosophy favors micro-adjustment over dramatic change. Small shifts maintain harmony. Awareness remains open. Nothing closes here. Attention remains open. Practice continues. Alignment renews quietly. And so it goes on. The gentle reframing. Not every problem needs solving. Some need reframing. This philosophy teaches shifting perspective rather than applying pressure. When a situation is reframed, resistance often dissolves. What seemed obstructive becomes informative. What felt heavy becomes manageable. The text emphasizes that meaning shapes response. Change meaning and behavior changes without force. Those who reframe quietly preserve dignity on all sides. Awareness of influence. Influence flows continuously, whether intended or not. This philosophy encourages responsibility for subtle impact. Tone, posture, timing, and silence all influence outcome. Those who recognize their influence act with care. Unrecognized influence creates unintended consequence. Staying small growth often begins by staying small. This philosophy values compact action that fits conditions precisely. Large movements attract friction. Small movements pass through. Staying small preserves flexibility. Clarity through reduction. When clarity fades, reduce. This philosophy teaches subtracting variables until understanding returns. Reduction reveals structure. Structure restores direction. The unburdened mind. The mind functions best when unburdened. This philosophy encourages releasing unnecessary concern, comparison, and anticipation. An unburdened mind responds cleanly. Burdened thought creates delay. Listening to the quiet no. Not all refusal is spoken. This philosophy teaches recognizing subtle limits before they harden. Respecting the quiet no preserves relationship. Ignoring it escalates conflict. Patience with process. Process cannot be rushed without distortion. This philosophy emphasizes allowing process to mature. Intervening too early interrupts learning. Those who wait gain depth. Alignment before agreement. Agreement can be forced. Alignment cannot. This philosophy teaches seeking alignment rather than consensus. Alignment sustains movement. Agreement without alignment fractures later. The soft reset. Sometimes the system needs reset, not repair. This philosophy teaches gentle reset through rest, silence, and simplification. Reset restores responsiveness. Repair alone preserves strain. Awareness without accumulation. Knowledge accumulates easily. Awareness does not. This philosophy teaches returning to direct perception. Accumulation weighs down response. Awareness stays light. Stability through rhythm. Rhythm organizes complexity. This philosophy encourages establishing rhythms that support endurance. Regular rhythm reduces decision fatigue. Chaos arises where rhythm is absent. Clarity after emotion. Emotion passes. Clarity follows. This philosophy teaches waiting for emotional waves to settle before deciding. Decisions made in calm endure. The narrow gate. Often the correct path is narrow. This philosophy values precision over breadth. Wide movement invites error. Narrow focus preserves accuracy. Presence without performance. Presence is not display. This philosophy warns against performing awareness. True presence leaves no trace. Continuity of care. Care sustains systems longer than control. This philosophy teaches ongoing, low-intensity care. Neglect invites breakdown. Care prevents it. The light correction. Correction applied lightly integrates easily. Heavy correction shocks structure. This philosophy favors incremental tuning. Orientation to what endures. Short-term gain distracts from what lasts. This philosophy teaches orienting toward durability. What endures defines success. The quiet edge revisited. The edge need not cut. This philosophy returns to softness as strength. Soft edges adapt. Hard edges fracture. Awareness without claim. Awareness does not claim ownership. This philosophy teaches observing without attaching identity. Identity constrains perception. The continuing silence. Silence continues beneath movement. It does not end. It supports everything. And from it, the next action will arise when needed. The calm reassessment. From time to time, direction must be reassessed. Not urgently, not dramatically, but calmly. This philosophy values reassessment as maintenance rather than correction. When reassessment is regular, large mistakes never form. Small deviations are noticed early and adjusted gently. The text teaches stepping back without disengaging. Distance clarifies without disconnecting. Those who reassess calmly preserve continuity. Awareness of subtle fatigue. Fatigue does not always announce itself loudly. It often appears as impatience, distraction, or dullness. This philosophy teaches recognizing subtle fatigue before collapse. Rest taken early restores strength completely. Rest taken late only prevents damage. Awareness of fatigue preserves longevity. The unforced agreement. True agreement arises from shared clarity, not persuasion. This philosophy emphasizes allowing understanding to converge naturally. When agreement is unforced, commitment endures. Precision over volume. More is rarely better. This philosophy values precision of action over volume of effort. One precise movement outweighs many unfocused ones. Precision conserves energy. The soft boundary. Boundaries do not need aggression. This philosophy teaches boundaries that are clear, calm, and consistent. Soft boundaries prevent hard conflict. Listening to delay. Delay often carries information. This philosophy teaches noticing where progress slows and asking why. Delay may signal misalignment, fatigue, or resistance. Listening prevents waste. Staying oriented in change. Change disorients those without reference. This philosophy teaches maintaining internal reference rather than external certainty. Internal orientation stabilizes response. The quiet yield. Yielding strategically preserves strength. This philosophy distinguishes yielding from surrender. Yielding redirects force. Surrender abandons direction. Quiet yield maintains advantage. Awareness of subtext. What is unsaid often matters more than what is spoken. This philosophy teaches attending to subtext, tone, and timing. Subtext reveals intention. Those who listen deeply respond accurately. Continuation without claim. Nothing here is owned. Nothing is concluded. Practice continues without possession. Awareness remains open, and movement will arise again when it is needed. The gentle realignment. Alignment shifts gradually. This philosophy teaches realigning before misalignment becomes visible. Gentle realignment requires honesty without urgency. Notice where tension accumulates. Adjust without self-judgment. Small realignments prevent dramatic correction. Awareness of pace. Pace reveals understanding. This philosophy teaches noticing whether movement feels rushed or delayed. Both signal imbalance. Right pace feels unremarkable. It neither pushes nor drags. Those who sense pace adjust naturally. The quiet invitation influence can invite rather than compel. This philosophy values invitation that leaves choice intact. When people choose freely, alignment deepens. Clarity through consistency. Consistency builds trust. This philosophy teaches that repeated clarity outweighs occasional brilliance. Reliable presence stabilizes systems. Restoring simplicity when systems strain, return to basics. This philosophy encourages restoring simplicity rather than adding solutions. Simplicity reveals what matters. Listening to friction. Friction indicates misfit. This philosophy teaches listening to where movement resists. Adjustment, not force, resolves friction. The light commitment. Commitment does not need heaviness. This philosophy teaches committing where alignment is strong and remaining flexible elsewhere. Light commitment preserves adaptability. Awareness of sequence. Order matters. This philosophy emphasizes doing the right thing at the right time, in the right order. Correct sequence reduces effort. The quiet correction revisited. Correction should leave structure intact. This philosophy returns to correction that guides rather than shocks. Gentle correction integrates smoothly. The open continuum. There is no final chapter. Awareness flows forward. Practice renews itself, and alignment continues quietly without end. The subtle pause. Before understanding deepens, there is often a pause so slight it is missed. This philosophy teaches honoring that pause. It is where perception reorganizes itself. The pause interrupts habit. It creates a gap where new insight can enter. Without it, repetition masquerades as progress. Those who allow the pause act with greater accuracy afterward. Attention without tension. Attention does not require strain. Strain narrows awareness. Relaxed attention widens it. This philosophy teaches holding focus lightly, like resting a hand on water, without disturbing its surface. When attention is relaxed, perception becomes inclusive. The gentle threshold. Every transition passes through a threshold. This philosophy teaches recognizing thresholds before crossing them. Thresholds demand care. Rushing across creates imbalance. Hesitating too long creates stagnation. When the threshold is crossed gently, continuity is preserved. Learning from quiet failure. Not all failure is loud. Some appears as subtle misalignment. This philosophy values quiet failure as instruction rather than judgment. Those who notice early correct easily. Failure noticed late becomes damage. Clarity through return. When confusion appears, return to what is simple and known. This philosophy teaches returning to foundational awareness rather than searching outward. Return restores orientation. The soft holding. Holding does not mean gripping. This philosophy teaches supporting structures without tightening around them. Soft holding allows movement while maintaining form. Awareness of drift. Drift occurs slowly. This philosophy teaches noticing drift before direction is lost. Small course corrections prevent large redirections. Awareness stabilizes trajectory. Minimal expression. Expression carries weight. This philosophy teaches expressing only what is necessary. Excess expression dilutes meaning. Minimal expression preserves clarity. The quiet confirmation. Not all understanding needs confirmation. This philosophy values inner recognition over external validation. When understanding is real, it settles without announcement. Continuity maintained. Nothing here concludes. Attention remains. Practice continues. Movement will arise again when alignment calls for it. The gentle scan. From time to time, awareness scans the whole without focusing on any single point. This philosophy teaches the gentle scan, a wide attention that notices imbalance before it sharpens. Scanning is not searching. It is allowing perception to pass lightly over experience. Nothing is forced into view. Those who scan gently detect strain early. Clarity without rush. Understanding ripens at its own pace. This philosophy teaches allowing clarity to form without haste. Rushing clarity creates illusion. Waiting allows structure to reveal itself. When clarity arrives naturally, it holds. The light. Return to center. Whenever movement pulls too far outward, return. This philosophy teaches returning to center without judgment or delay. The return restores balance immediately. Awareness of tone. Tone carries more truth than content. This philosophy teaches listening to tone in voice, movement, and environment. Tone reveals alignment or strain. Those who hear tone respond precisely. The subtle alignment. Alignment often shifts by degrees, not steps. This philosophy teaches noticing small realignments and honoring them. Large corrections are rarely needed when small ones are made. Simplicity in response. When response becomes complex, alignment has been lost. This philosophy teaches simplifying response until ease returns. Ease signals correctness. Patience with understanding. Understanding cannot be forced. This philosophy teaches patience with learning, both in oneself and others. Forced understanding collapses under pressure. The quiet confidence of not knowing. Not knowing can be stable. This philosophy teaches comfort with incomplete information. Stability without certainty preserves flexibility. Awareness of flowing time. Time flows unevenly. This philosophy teaches sensing when time compresses and when it expands. Awareness adjusts pace accordingly. The ongoing alignment. Alignment renews itself moment by moment. This philosophy does not end. It continues as attention continues, and attention remains. The gentle calibration. From time to time, awareness recalibrates itself. Not because something is wrong, but because conditions have shifted. This philosophy teaches calibration without criticism. Calibration is subtle. It adjusts angle rather than direction. It refines without rejecting what already works. Those who calibrate gently avoid abrupt correction. Seeing the whole field, narrow focus sharpens detail but can lose context. This philosophy teaches alternating between focus and breadth. Seeing the whole field reveals relationships that detail alone cannot show. Those who widen perspective reduce surprise. Clarity for still observation. Observation becomes clearer when it is still. This philosophy teaches observing without preparing response. Preparation interrupts perception. Still observation completes it. The soft adjustment. Adjustment does not need announcement. This philosophy values adjustments that integrate quietly into movement. Soft adjustments preserve momentum. Awareness of subtle pressure. Pressure often appears as urgency or irritation. This philosophy teaches recognizing pressure early and easing it. Eased pressure restores clarity. Returning to what works. When complexity increases, return to what has proven stable. This philosophy teaches valuing reliability over novelty. What works consistently endures. The quiet trust. Trust grows from repeated coherence. This philosophy teaches building trust without demanding it. When actions align consistently, trust follows. Minimal intervention. Intervene only where intervention truly serves alignment. This philosophy warns that unnecessary intervention creates dependency. Minimal intervention preserves autonomy. The open-ending endings need not close doors. This philosophy teaches leaving space at the end of every action. Space invites adaptation. Awareness continues, there is no final word. Awareness remains. Practice continues quietly. And alignment renews itself with each moment. The gentle witness awareness deepens when it witnesses without interference. This philosophy teaches becoming a gentle witness to events, thoughts, and movements as they arise. Witnessing does not judge, it notices. In noticing, patterns reveal themselves without effort. Those who witness gently understand sooner. Clarity through allowance. Allowance creates space for truth to appear. This philosophy teaches allowing situations to unfold just enough to be seen clearly. Forcing clarity obscures it. Allowing clarity reveals it. The quiet adjustment of aim. Aim does not need to be rigid. This philosophy teaches adjusting aim subtly as conditions change. Small adjustments preserve direction. Large corrections signal neglect. When aim adjusts quietly, movement remains smooth. Awareness of inner weather. Inner states shift like weather. This philosophy teaches noticing inner weather without reacting to it. Storms pass, calm returns. Those who wait do not mistake weather for direction. The soft choice. Choice made softly endures. This philosophy teaches choosing without tension, without forcing certainty. Soft choice preserves flexibility. Listening to the body. The body speaks before the mind understands. This philosophy teaches listening to signals of ease and strain. Ease signals alignment. Strain signals adjustment. Those who listen early avoid injury. The economy of motion. Motion should justify itself. This philosophy values movements that accomplish more with less. Unnecessary motion dissipates energy. Necessary motion concentrates it. Clarity after letting go. Letting go clears perception. This philosophy teaches releasing what no longer serves before seeking what is new. Release creates space. Space restores clarity. The quiet measure. Measure progress quietly. This philosophy warns against constant evaluation. Too much measurement distorts movement. Occasional reflection guides it. Continuing without weight. Practice continues best without weight. This philosophy teaches carrying principles lightly. Heavy doctrine stiffens response. Light understanding adapts. Awareness of subtle agreement. Alignment often appears as a quiet yes. This philosophy teaches noticing subtle agreement before seeking explicit confirmation. When alignment is present, resistance fades. The calm re-entry. After change, re-enter gently. This philosophy teaches easing back into action after pause or transition. Gentle re-entry stabilizes momentum. Clarity in ordinary moments. Most alignment occurs in ordinary moments. This philosophy teaches valuing the everyday. Small actions repeated quietly shape outcomes. The soft frame. Frames guide perception. This philosophy teaches framing situations gently rather than forcing interpretation. A soft frame invites understanding. Awareness of return paths. Every advance needs a return path. This philosophy teaches keeping return visible. Return preserves safety and continuity. Minimal reaction. Reaction amplifies disturbance. This philosophy teaches minimizing reaction to preserve clarity. Respond after understanding. The quiet balance of effort. Effort should feel proportional. This philosophy teaches matching effort to need. Excess effort signals misalignment. Listening for completion. Completion announces itself softly. This philosophy teaches listening for the moment when enough has been done. Stopping at enough preserves outcome. The open hand revisited. An open hand receives information. This philosophy returns to openness as protection. Gripping blinds perception. Awareness continues forward. Nothing closes. Awareness moves forward. Practice renews itself quietly. And alignment remains alive. The gentle orientation of attention. Attention always points somewhere. This philosophy teaches noticing where it naturally rests before directing it anywhere else. When attention is forced, tension follows. When attention is guided gently, clarity emerges. The text emphasizes that orientation precedes intention. What you notice first shapes what you do next. Those who orient attention calmly choose more accurately. Stability through repetition. Stability is not created once. It is reinforced through quiet repetition. This philosophy teaches returning again and again to what aligns. Small repetitions establish deep reliability. What is repeated gently becomes natural. Awareness of subtle signals. Signals rarely shout. They whisper. This philosophy trains sensitivity to the smallest changes in pace, tone, and resistance. Those who hear whispers avoid alarms. The soft commitment to clarity. Clarity is not rigid truth, it is current understanding. This philosophy teaches committing to clarity while remaining open to revision. Soft commitment adapts without collapse. Letting order emerge. Order does not always need construction. This philosophy teaches allowing order to emerge by removing obstruction. When obstruction clears, structure appears naturally. The light correction of course. Course corrections work best when they are barely visible. This philosophy values steering by degrees rather than turns. Small angles change destinations profoundly. Awareness of energy leaks. Energy drains through distraction, conflict, and over-explanation. This philosophy teaches noticing where energy leaks and sealing them gently. Conserved energy restores capacity. The quiet reset does not require collapse. This philosophy teaches resetting through pause, breath, and simplification. A quiet reset renews direction. Clarity in letting things be. Not everything requires engagement. This philosophy teaches allowing some things to remain unresolved. Time resolves what force cannot. Continuity without closure. There is no final conclusion. Awareness flows on. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself moment by moment. The gentle holding of direction. Direction does not need constant reinforcement. This philosophy teaches holding direction lightly without gripping. When direction is overheld, movement stiffens. When it is forgotten, drift appears. Light holding preserves both freedom and coherence. Those who hold direction gently adjust naturally as conditions change. Awareness of readiness. Readiness is often mistaken for tension. This philosophy teaches distinguishing calm readiness from anxious anticipation. Calm readiness feels open. Anxious readiness feels tight. Knowing the difference preserves clarity. The quiet recognition. Recognition does not need confirmation. This philosophy teaches trusting quiet recognition when understanding settles internally. External approval is unnecessary when clarity is complete. Clarity through grounding. When thought accelerates, return to ground. This philosophy teaches grounding attention in sensation, breath, and immediate reality. Grounding stabilizes perception. From stability, understanding returns. Minimal response. Respond only to what is actually present. This philosophy teaches avoiding response to imagined threat or projected outcome. Minimal response conserves energy and precision. The soft pivot. Change of direction need not be dramatic. This philosophy teaches pivoting gently when new information appears. Soft pivots preserve momentum. Listening for alignment. Alignment can be felt. This philosophy teaches listening for ease, flow, and reduction of friction. When alignment is present, action feels lighter. Awareness of overreach. Overreach often appears as urgency to finish. This philosophy teaches noticing the impulse to push beyond enough. Stopping early preserves integrity. The quiet continuity of care. Care applied steadily outlasts intervention applied forcefully. This philosophy values small, consistent acts of care. Care maintains systems quietly. Awareness moves on. Nothing concludes. Attention remains alive. Practice continues without declaration, and alignment carries forward, moment by moment. The gentle presence of patience. Patience is not waiting for something to end. It is remaining present while it unfolds. This philosophy teaches patience as an active awareness rather than passive delay. When patience is present, urgency dissolves. What needs to happen reveals itself without force. Those who cultivate patience perceive timing more clearly. Awareness of subtle choice. Choice often happens quietly before words or actions appear. This philosophy teaches noticing the inner turn, where one path is favored over another. Recognizing subtle choice restores agency. The soft continuation. Continuation does not require momentum. This philosophy teaches moving forward without pushing. When continuation is soft, endurance increases. Clarity through still listening. Listening deepens when the urge to respond fades. This philosophy teaches still listening, where understanding completes itself. From still listening, accurate response arises naturally. The light touch of adjustment. Adjustment works best when it barely interrupts flow. This philosophy values light touch over strong correction. Light adjustment preserves confidence and coherence. Awareness of completion signals completion does not announce itself loudly. This philosophy teaches sensing when a process has naturally reached enough. Stopping at the right moment preserves quality. Gentle re-entry to action. After pause, return slowly. This philosophy teaches easing back into movement to maintain balance. Gentle re-entry reduces error. Clarity through uncluttering. When thought becomes crowded, remove rather than add. This philosophy teaches uncluttering attention. Space restores insight. The quiet continuity of focus. Focus need not be intense. This philosophy teaches sustained, relaxed focus. Relaxed focus outlasts strain. Awareness carries on. There is no final arrival. Attention continues. Practice renews itself quietly, and alignment remains alive, moment by moment. The gentle sense of enough. Knowing when something is enough is a refined skill. This philosophy teaches sensing sufficiency without calculation. When enough is reached, further action adds noise, not value. Stopping there preserves clarity. Those who sense enough avoid regret. Awareness of subtle relief. Relief often signals alignment. This philosophy teaches noticing small releases of tension as indicators of correct adjustment. Relief guides refinement. The soft maintenance. Maintenance prevents collapse more effectively than repair. This philosophy values small, regular care. What is maintained quietly endures. Clarity in letting momentum fade. Momentum need not be sustained indefinitely. This philosophy teaches allowing momentum to fade naturally when its purpose is complete. Forcing continuation creates imbalance. The quiet integration. Integration happens when attention rests. This philosophy teaches allowing experience to settle before moving on. Integrated understanding becomes instinct. Awareness of the unsaid. What remains unspoken shapes outcome. This philosophy teaches listening for what is implied, avoided, or softened. The unsaid often reveals more than speech. The gentle correction of expectation. Expectation distorts perception. This philosophy teaches adjusting expectation rather than forcing reality. Corrected expectation restores clarity. Clarity through presence. Presence simplifies decision. This philosophy teaches returning attention to now before acting. From presence, response is precise. The soft continuity of practice. Practice does not need intensity. This philosophy values continuity over effort. What continues gently lasts longest. Awareness without endpoint. Nothing concludes. Attention remains open. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself again and again. The gentle recognition of change. Change often arrives quietly, without announcement. This philosophy teaches recognizing change not by dramatic signals, but by subtle shifts in feeling, pace, and attention. When change is noticed early, adjustment is simple. When noticed late, correction becomes heavy. Those who recognize change gently move with it rather than against it. Awareness of inner balance. Inner balance is felt before it is understood. This philosophy teaches sensing balance through ease of breath, clarity of thought, and steadiness of emotion. When balance is present, action requires less effort. The soft reorientation. When direction feels unclear, reorient softly. This philosophy teaches turning attention slightly rather than forcing a new path. Small reorientation restores clarity. Clarity through slowing. Speed hides detail. This philosophy teaches slowing down when confusion appears. Slowing reveals structure that haste obscures. The quiet measure of progress. Progress does not always move forward. This philosophy teaches recognizing progress through stability, not motion. When things hold steady, progress is present. Awareness of unnecessary weight. Some weight is carried out of habit. This philosophy teaches noticing and releasing unnecessary burden. Lightening load restores agility. The gentle confirmation of direction. Direction becomes clear when resistance decreases. This philosophy teaches trusting reduced friction as confirmation. Ease indicates alignment. Listening to silence again. Silence retones repeatedly. This philosophy teaches revisiting silence as a source of information. In silence, priorities reorder themselves. The soft continuation of care. Care does not end with resolution. This philosophy teaches maintaining care quietly after outcomes settle. Care sustains what force cannot. Awareness remains. Nothing closes. Attention stays present. Practice continues. Alignment renews, quietly, without end. The gentle acceptance of cycles. Everything moves in cycles. This philosophy teaches accepting cycles without resistance. Growth and rest alternate. Expansion contracts. Clarity fades and returns. None of these signal failure. Those who accept cycles move smoothly through them. Awareness of subtle readiness. Readiness does not shout. This philosophy teaches noticing the quiet feeling of now before action. When readiness is present, hesitation dissolves. The soft discipline. Discipline need not be harsh. This philosophy teaches discipline as consistency rather than punishment. Soft discipline sustains effort without exhaustion. Clarity through waiting. Waiting clarifies. This philosophy teaches waiting long enough for unnecessary options to fall away. What remains deserves attention. The quiet refinement of intention. Intention sharpens when distractions fade. This philosophy teaches refining intention by removing competing aims. Clear intention guides minimal action. Awareness of emotional residue. Emotions leave traces. This philosophy teaches noticing emotional residue before it colors perception. Clearing residue restores neutrality. The gentle redirection. Redirection works best when it is barely felt. This philosophy teaches guiding movements subtly rather than forcing change. Subtle redirection preserves dignity. Clarity through alignment of pace. When pace matches capacity, movement feels sustainable. This philosophy teaches adjusting pace to preserve strength. Correct pace prevents burnout. The quiet continuity of attention. Attention does not leap, it flows. This philosophy teaches allowing attention to move smoothly between focus and rest. Flow preserves clarity. Awareness continues. Nothing ends here. Attention remains active. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself. Moment by moment. The gentle recognition of limits. Limits are not barriers, they are information. This philosophy teaches recognizing limits early, before they harden into resistance. When limits are respected, movement adjusts naturally. When ignored, correction arrives through strain. Those who listen to limits preserve strength. Awareness of subtle agreement. Agreement often appears as ease rather than words. This philosophy teaches sensing alignment through reduced friction and quiet cooperation. When agreement is present, effort diminishes. The soft expansion. Expansion need not be forceful. This philosophy teaches allowing growth to unfold gradually. Soft expansion integrates without shock. Clarity through letting time work. Some understanding requires time. This philosophy teaches allowing time to clarify what thought cannot. Time reveals structure patiently. The quiet calibration of effort. Effort should match necessity. This philosophy teaches calibrating effort until it feels proportionate. Too much effort signals misalignment. Awareness of inner quiet. Within precedes clarity without. This philosophy teaches noticing moments when inner noise fades. In quiet, perception sharpens. The gentle holding of space. Holding space allows others to find balance. This philosophy teaches presence without interference. Space supports resolution. Clarity through repetition. Repeated clarity stabilizes systems. This philosophy teaches returning again and again to what aligns. Repetition builds reliability. The soft persistence of care. Care applied gently and continuously sustains more than forceful intervention. This philosophy values quiet persistence. Awareness carries forward. Nothing concludes. Attention remains. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself again and again. The gentle awareness of thresholds. Every transition passes a threshold. This philosophy teaches noticing thresholds before crossing them. Thresholds are delicate. Too much force breaks continuity. Too little attention causes drift. Those who sense thresholds cross with stability. Clarity through settling. Understanding settles when not disturbed. This philosophy teaches allowing insight to rest before acting on it. Settled clarity guides cleaner movement. The soft alignment of intention. Intention aligns best when it is simple. This philosophy teaches reducing intention to its essence. Clear intention removes hesitation. Awareness of quiet signals. Signals are often subtle. This philosophy teaches trusting faint cues before obvious signs appear. Early awareness prevents disruption. The gentle rebalancing. Balance shifts constantly. This philosophy teaches rebalancing without urgency. Small adjustments restore harmony. Clarity through reduction. Again, when confusion returns, reduce again. This philosophy teaches repeated simplification. Reduction clears perception. The quiet permission to pause. Pausing does not delay progress. This philosophy teaches pausing as a form of progress. Pause restores proportion. Awareness of sustainable motion. Motion should be sustainable. This philosophy teaches choosing movement that can continue without strain. Sustainable motion outlasts intensity. The soft continuation. Continuation does not require effort. This philosophy teaches moving forward without pushing. Gentle continuation preserves strength. Awareness without finish. There is no final point. Attention remains open. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself endlessly. The gentle sense of direction. Direction is often felt before it is defined. This philosophy teaches trusting the subtle sense of orientation that appears as ease or quiet certainty. When direction is forced, resistance grows. When direction is sensed, movement aligns naturally. Those who follow gentle direction conserve strength. Awareness of minor resistance. Minor resistance carries information. This philosophy teaches noticing small hesitations or delays as signals for adjustment. Ignoring small resistance allows larger obstacles to form. The soft return to fundamentals. When complexity overwhelms, return to fundamentals. This philosophy teaches grounding action in simple principles that endure. Fundamentals stabilize response. Clarity through presence. Again, presence restores clarity repeatedly. This philosophy emphasizes returning attention to immediate experience. From presence, understanding refreshes. The quiet calibration of choice. Choice becomes clearer when noise fades. This philosophy teaches calibrating choice through stillness. Stillness reveals priority. Awareness of overextension. Overextension feels like urgency without clarity. This philosophy teaches recognizing when reach exceeds readiness. Pulling back preserves integrity. The gentle alignment of effort. Effort aligns best when it feels proportional. This philosophy teaches adjusting effort until strain disappears. Aligned effort sustains progress. Clarity through gentle focus. Focus need not be narrow to be effective. This philosophy teaches gentle focus that includes context. Gentle focus prevents tunnel vision. The quiet confirmation of balance. Balance confirms itself through ease. This philosophy teaches trusting ease as feedback. When ease appears, alignment is present. Awareness continues quietly. Nothing ends. Attention remains. Practice continues. Alignment renews itself, quietly, moment by moment. The gentle awareness of momentum. Momentum can feel persuasive. This philosophy teaches noticing momentum without being carried by it. When momentum aligns with purpose, it supports movement. When it drifts, It pulls action away from clarity. Those who sense momentum early guide it rather than follow it blindly. Clarity through letting things slow. Slowing is not loss, it is recalibration. This philosophy teaches allowing pace to slow when signals appear. In slowing, detail emerges. Direction clarifies. The soft adjustment of focus. Focus sharpens when it softens. This philosophy teaches easing attention away from fixation. Soft focus includes more information and reduces error. Awareness of emotional temperature. Emotions have temperature. This philosophy teaches noticing when emotional heat rises or cools. Acting in cooler states preserves judgment. The gentle confirmation of readiness. Readiness often appears as calm rather than excitement. This philosophy teaches trusting quiet readiness. When readiness is calm, action is precise. Clarity through releasing. Outcome attachment to outcome distorts action. This philosophy teaches releasing outcome while preserving intention. Release restores adaptability. The quiet strength of consistency. Consistency builds strength invisibly. This philosophy teaches showing up steadily without display. Quiet consistency outlasts bursts of effort. Awareness of structural soundness. Structures reveal soundness through how they absorb pressure. This philosophy teaches testing gently rather than stressing harshly. Gentle testing reveals truth without damage. The soft return to center again. Whenever complexity accumulates, return. This philosophy teaches returning to center repeatedly. Return restores orientation immediately. Awareness continues, nothing closes. Attention remains present. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself again and again. The gentle awareness of transition. Transition is where most imbalance occurs. This philosophy teaches attending carefully to the moments between states. Leaving one condition and entering another requires softness. Abrupt transition fractures continuity. Gentle transition preserves it. Those who honor transition reduce confusion. Clarity through settled attention. Attention settles when it is not pulled. This philosophy teaches allowing attention to rest before directing it. Settled attention sees more clearly than active searching. The soft framing of action. How action is framed shapes how it unfolds. This philosophy teaches framing action lightly without pressure or expectation. A soft frame allows adjustment. Awareness of subtle completion. Completion often arrives as quiet relief. This philosophy teaches noticing the easing that signals enough has been done. Acting beyond completion creates imbalance. The gentle continuation of direction. Direction can continue without effort. This philosophy teaches holding direction as background rather than command. Background direction guides without strain. Clarity through letting attention widen. When focus tightens excessively, widen. This philosophy teaches expanding awareness to regain perspective. Widening restores proportion. The soft correction of habit. Habits form silently. This philosophy teaches adjusting habit gently rather than breaking it forcefully. Soft correction integrates smoothly. Awareness of inner ease. Ease is a signal, not a reward. This philosophy teaches trusting ease as feedback for alignment. When ease appears, movement is correct. The quiet endurance of simplicity. Simplicity endures longer than complexity. This philosophy teaches protecting simplicity as conditions evolve. What remains simple adapts easily. Awareness continues forward. Nothing concludes. Attention remains open. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself without end. The gentle awareness of influence. Influence does not begin with intention. It begins with presence. This philosophy teaches noticing how presence alone shifts situations. When presence is calm, environments soften. When presence is tense, resistance forms. Influence flows from inner state before action. Those who cultivate calm presence shape outcomes without effort. Clarity through reduced urgency. Urgency narrows vision. This philosophy teaches reducing urgency to restore clarity. When urgency fades, understanding expands. Choice improves. Those who slow urgency act with fewer errors. The soft adjustment of expectation. Expectation often leads action astray. This philosophy teaches adjusting expectation gently rather than forcing reality to comply. When expectation softens, perception sharpens. Awareness of subtle cooperation. Cooperation appears quietly. This philosophy teaches noticing moments when resistance dissolves without instruction. Such moments signal alignment. Recognizing them strengthens flow. The gentle maintenance of balance. Balance requires attention, not force. This philosophy teaches maintaining balance through small, regular awareness. Neglect creates imbalance. Attention restores it. Clarity through staying present. Presence prevents distortion. This philosophy teaches returning to what is directly experienced. From presence, understanding refreshes itself. The soft continuity of direction. Direction need not be repeated. This philosophy teaches allowing direction to guide implicitly. Implicit direction reduces strain. Awareness of hidden simplicity. Complex situations often contain simple cores. This philosophy teaches searching for simplicity beneath noise. Finding simplicity restores control. The quiet confirmation of alignment. Alignment announces itself through ease. This philosophy teaches trusting the quiet confirmation of reduced friction. Ease is sufficient evidence. Awareness moves on. Nothing finishes. Attention remains. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself moment by moment. The gentle awareness of intention. Intention often operates beneath conscious thought. This philosophy teaches noticing intention before it hardens into action. When intention is clear, action simplifies. When intention is confused, movement scatters. Those who sense intention early adjust without struggle. Clarity through gentle inquiry. Inquiry does not interrogate. It listens. This philosophy teaches asking softly rather than demanding answers. Gentle inquiry invites understanding to emerge. The soft presence of resolve. Resolve need not be rigid. This philosophy teaches resolve that holds direction while remaining open to change. Soft resolve adapts without losing purpose. Awareness of subtle satisfaction. Satisfaction appears quietly when alignment is present. This philosophy teaches noticing subtle contentment as feedback. Contentment signals completeness. The gentle releasing of pressure. Pressure accumulates unnoticed. This philosophy teaches releasing pressure before it demands release. Letting go early preserves clarity. Clarity through simplified choice. Too many options blur decision. This philosophy teaches reducing choice to essentials. Simplified choice restores decisiveness. The soft continuation of learning. Learning does not end with understanding. This philosophy teaches continuing learning without urgency. Ongoing learning refines awareness. Awareness of structural ease. Structures that work feel easy. This philosophy teaches trusting ease as indicator of sound structure. Strain suggests misalignment. The quiet strength of humility. Humility keeps perception open. This philosophy teaches humility as strength rather than submission. Open perception adapts. Awareness continues. Nothing concludes. Attention remains present. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself. Endlessly. The gentle awareness of priority. Priority reveals itself through attention. This philosophy teaches noticing where energy naturally gathers before forcing decision. When priority is clear, effort aligns automatically. When it is ignored, movement scatters. Those who respect natural priority conserve strength. Clarity through soft focus. Sharp focus excludes. Soft focus includes. This philosophy teaches widening attention slightly to regain perspective. In soft focus, relationships become visible. The quiet calibration of timing. Timing adjusts itself when awareness is present. This philosophy teaches sensing when to move by feeling reduction of resistance. Correct timing feels natural, not urgent. Awareness of subtle tension. Tension is information. This philosophy teaches noticing small tightening in body or thought. Releasing tension restores flow. The gentle reaffirmation of direction. Direction does not need reinforcement through force. This philosophy teaches reaffirming direction quietly through consistent action. Consistency speaks louder than declaration. Clarity through letting go again. Letting go is repeated. This philosophy teaches releasing attachment whenever it reappears. Each release lightens response. The soft continuity of attention. Attention moves best when uninterrupted. This philosophy teaches reducing unnecessary shifts of focus. Continuity preserves clarity. Awareness of inner quiet again. Inner quiet returns often. This philosophy teaches recognizing and trusting it. In quiet, alignment is restored. The gentle holding of balance. Balance is maintained through awareness, not effort. This philosophy teaches holding balance lightly. Light holding adapts quickly. Awareness without end. Nothing ends here. Attention remains alive. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself, moment by moment. The gentle awareness of choice points. Choice points appear quietly. This philosophy teaches noticing the moments where direction can change with minimal effort. When choice points are seen early, adjustment is simple. When missed, correction becomes heavy. Those who notice choice points move with grace. Clarity through allowing insight. Insight cannot be forced. This philosophy teaches allowing insight to arrive by giving it space. When insight comes naturally, it stays. The soft alignment of values. Values guide action beneath thought. This philosophy teaches aligning action with values gently, without moral strain. When values and action align, effort decreases. Awareness of subtle satisfaction. Satisfaction often signals completion. This philosophy teaches recognizing quiet satisfaction as feedback. Continuing past satisfaction introduces imbalance. The gentle rebalancing of effort. Effort drifts over time. This philosophy teaches recalibrating effort until it feels proportionate again. Balanced effort sustains progress. Clarity through fewer assumptions. Assumptions distort perception. This philosophy teaches acting on observation rather than expectation. Fewer assumptions increase accuracy. The soft continuation of direction. Direction can persist without repetition. This philosophy teaches trusting background intention. Background intention guides quietly. Awareness of inner alignment. Alignment is felt as coherence. This philosophy teaches sensing when thoughts, emotions, and action agree. Coherence signals readiness. The quiet strength of restraint. Again, restraint preserves possibility. This philosophy returns to restraint as freedom. Freedom expands choice. Awareness continues. Attention remains present. Practice carries on quietly. Alignment renews itself again and again. The gentle awareness of directional drift. Drift rarely announces itself. It appears as small deviations, barely noticeable in the moment. This philosophy teaches sensing drift early, before it reshapes the whole path. When drift is noticed gently, correction is light. When ignored, redirection becomes heavy. Those who sense drift early preserve coherence. Clarity through pausing. Intention. Sometimes intention itself needs rest. This philosophy teaches pausing intention to allow perception to reset. When intention softens, clarity returns naturally. The soft relationship with effort. Effort does not need opposition. This philosophy teaches cooperating with effort, rather than pushing against resistance. When effort aligns, it feels smooth. Awareness of subtle completion. Completion often arrives without celebration. This philosophy teaches noticing the quiet sense of done. Stopping there preserves balance. The gentle return to center, yet again. Returning is not regression. This philosophy teaches returning to center as renewal. Each return restores orientation. Clarity through unforced seeing. Seeing clearly requires no strain. This philosophy teaches relaxing the urge to analyze. Unforced seeing reveals what matters. The soft continuation of care and attention. Care does not need intensity. This philosophy teaches sustaining care quietly. Quiet care stabilizes systems over time. Awareness of emotional settling. Emotion settles when allowed. This philosophy teaches letting feelings pass without engagement. Settled emotion restores neutrality. The gentle confirmation of alignment. Once more, alignment repeats itself as ease. This philosophy teaches trusting ease again and again. Ease does not lie. Awareness remains unbroken. Nothing finishes. Attention continues. Practice remains alive. Alignment renews itself. Quietly, without end. The gentle awareness of opportunity. Opportunity rarely arrives fully formed. It appears as a slight opening, a small reduction in resistance, a moment where effort feels lighter. This philosophy teaches noticing opportunity without chasing it. Chasing creates pressure. Noticing allows approach. Those who sense opportunity early act with minimal force. Clarity through still presence. Presence clarifies without doing anything. This philosophy teaches remaining still long enough for confusion to untangle itself. From still presence, the next step becomes obvious. The soft holding of intention. Intention does not need tension. This philosophy teaches holding intention like a compass, not a rope. A compass guides without pulling. Awareness of subtle alignment shifts. Alignment shifts continuously. This philosophy teaches noticing small internal signals that indicate when alignment is increasing or decreasing. Small signals guide fine adjustment, the gentle adjustment of expectation again. Expectation returns quietly. This philosophy teaches releasing expectation repeatedly without frustration. Each release restores openness, clarity through letting the mind settle. The mind settles when it is not demanded to perform. This philosophy teaches allowing thought to slow naturally. In settled mind, perception sharpens. The soft continuity of direction, once more direction, does not require constant reaffirmation. This philosophy teaches trusting accumulated alignment. Accumulated alignment carries movement forward. Awareness of ease as instruction. Ease teaches. This philosophy emphasizes learning from moments when things flow. Flow reveals correct structure. The quiet return of balance. Balance returns on its own when interference stops. This philosophy teaches stepping aside gently. Non-interference restores harmony. Awareness continues. Attention remains present. Practice continues quietly. Alignment renews itself, moment by moment. A gentle awareness of readiness to act. Readiness is not tension, it is openness. This philosophy teaches sensing readiness as a calm availability rather than a push to begin. When readiness is present, action does not feel heavy, it feels timely. Those who wait for true readiness move with fewer corrections. Clarity through allowing direction to emerge. Direction does not always need to be chosen. This philosophy teaches allowing direction to emerge from observation. When direction emerges naturally, commitment feels light. The soft release of urgency again. Urgency disguises itself as importance. This philosophy teaches releasing urgency to reveal what actually matters. Without urgency, priorities reorder themselves. Awareness of micro-adjustments. Most alignment happens through micro-adjustments. This philosophy teaches respecting small corrections rather than seeking major change. Small adjustments accumulate into stability. The gentle relationship with time. Time is not something to defeat. This philosophy teaches cooperating with time rather than racing it. When time is respected, effort decreases. Clarity through listening to ease and discomfort. Ease and discomfort both speak. This philosophy teaches listening to each without preference. Together they guide refinement. The soft continuation of alignment. Alignment does not require maintenance through force. This philosophy teaches allowing alignment to sustain itself through awareness. Awareness keeps alignment alive. Awareness of subtle fatigue. Again, fatigue returns quietly. This philosophy teaches noticing early signs and responding gently. Gentle response restores capacity. The quiet confidence of enough. Once more, knowing when something is enough remains a skill. This philosophy teaches trusting the quiet sense of completion. Stopping at enough preserves clarity. Awareness without finality. Nothing ends. Attention continues. Practice remains alive. Alignment renews itself endlessly in silence. The gentle awareness of invitation. Some moments invite action rather than demand it. This philosophy teaches sensing invitation through openness rather than pressure. When action is invited, it feels light. When it is forced, it feels heavy. Those who respond to invitation act with grace. Clarity through staying simple. When complexity grows, return to what is simple. This philosophy teaches simplifying before deciding. Simplicity reveals the next step without strain. The soft confirmation of direction. Direction confirms itself through reduced resistance. This philosophy teaches trusting the quiet confirmation that appears as ease. Ease is sufficient guidance. Awareness of subtle overload. Overload does not always feel dramatic. This philosophy teaches noticing subtle dullness, impatience, or restlessness. Early recognition allows gentle adjustment. The gentle release of control. Control tightens perception. This philosophy teaches releasing control without losing responsibility. Release restores adaptability. Clarity through gentle attention.